No, they're not. Super with the third and only fans rooting on the next round of the
Everyone, if you hate snakes, then this snake will end it here for you. Double kill points for Kyrie on the back of this fight. Cancels Francis forward and she
Hello and welcome to University Esports Overwatch 2 2023 Winter Grand Finals. My name is Wicket. I'm here joined by Finn, and what a set we have ahead of us.
Yeah, I mean, just both dominant teams that have really just destroyed their way through the brackets. As we've seen, Houston, they just absolutely blitz through, and Warwick dropping into the loser bracket early, but also blitzing their way through. So they are definitely strong teams, but they are both also interesting teams.
Yeah, we've seen the Houston Outlaws on stream a few times here. We've seen them running the Junker Queen comp and the Genji alongside it. Warwick we haven't seen on stream yet, but what we do know about him is that in the past they've been incredibly strong, winning a few of the past years, but if not, making at least very impressive placements. This year changing up the team a bit, but they've still managed to crawl their way back through lower bracket to find Houston in Grands here.
Yeah, I mean, they've both been so dominant. You've got Houston, made of stone, absolute legend. You've got Junker Queen, but from 2-0, the best Junker Queen in Asia, self-proclaimed, let it be. But on the side of Warwick, you've got to remember that there's some interesting players. Let's call them out of respect. Some of them we've got some info on, and it's a bit crazy. So we'll start with the coach.
Yeah, so basically Warwick, we haven't seen on stream yet, but they've given us some data about their players and a bit of information that they felt was important. So starting with the coach, as he said, they told us the coach wears some outfits during some of their VOD review sessions sometimes. What was the example they provided?
I mean, it's for reasons I probably won't discuss, but it's definitely a cosplay that is unusual for coaching, but I'm sure it really brings the team together.
Yeah, I'm sure the morale rises. We'll see the bracket here. We'll continue more about the Warwick team later. But as the bracket, we see that earlier in this, we don't actually see it on this graphic, but the reason Warwick Angels started in the lower bracket is because the Houston Outlaws were actually the ones to send them there, beating them 3-2 beforehand. So Warwick, as we saw, after dropping to lower bracket, having no problem sweeping through. UNESCO gave him a bit of troubles taking him to Game 5, but other than that, it seemed Warwick had a pretty clean path to Grand Finals here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when you look at a team like that, you have to understand that it's not just the players, it's the way the teams really work together. And it seems like Houston might just have the edge in terms of morale, as they did do better against UNESCO. They didn't drop into the losers bracket. So that is definitely going to affect both teams' morale and the way they see each other. It just depends whether they see that as a minor defeat or just hunger to do even better and prove the bracket wrong and turn the tables on what happened in the start of the bracket.
Yeah, getting beaten by a team to climb all the way through the lower bracket, that's a lot of games you have to play to meet your round one opponent back again. The reason that happened is because Warwick was, I think, expected to get first place here. They were seeded, or at least winning a few top seeds, whereas Houston Outlaws were one of the lower seeds actually. So at the time it was considered an upset, but since then we have seen that Houston Outlaws are incredibly good team and obviously swept through the rest of the bracket. And that should hopefully mean that this best of 7 we have here will be an insanely fun match to watch.
Yeah, they're definitely an amazing team. So let's take a look at some of the players on the team, because they have definitely not let us down with the performances.
Yeah, the Houston Outlaws we've seen on stream a few times. That we saw 2-0, the tank player for him, an insanely talented Junker Queen. The things I've seen about Junker Queen do are actually just unparalleled. Stone, a very good Genji as well, and the rest of the team, nothing to scoff at, but all of them incredibly talented. But the Warwick team there are actually, for this stream, for this season at least, relative newcomers from what we've seen. I think I recognized a few of the players from previous seasons, so a few of them I imagine have been on the big stage before, but as a whole, the entire roster is relatively new to this scenario.
Yeah, they are. Okay, so we know they're both insanely good teams and they both know how to dominate on Overwatch. But do we know the in-depth pre-rituals for some of these players before the games? I don't think you do, but we've definitely got some interesting pre-rituals for the team of Warwick, as we have some players who like to drink not 1 but 2 energy drinks, and then also a player who drinks not 1, not 2 but 3 cups of tea before the match.
It was mentioned as a bit of information they've deemed critical to tell us, commentators. We asked for only the most important of information they could give us. And they gave us the choice of that one of the players drinks, 3 cups of teas before the bracket. No specifications on what type of tea or what, so that could vary a lot. A lot of caffeine. Some cups of tea could give you a lot of caffeine before these matches. Some others could just mellow you out maybe. So if you were the player to drink 3 cups of tea before a match, what would your tea of choice be?
Absolutely, it's the classic. It's the Tetley. I mean,
Yeah, you want the caffeine.
but yeah, it's just. Listen, I won't go in depth to the brands because that's not the key aspect. The key aspect is how you make it. There is some people who do it criminally. There's the standard and then there's deluxe. Okay, so the standard is tea bag, bosh, your sugars in, your water, stir around the tea bag, take it out, milk. Real legends know that you need to put a little bit of sugar in, do the water and all of that, put the milk in, then you put a bit more sugar in, about like a little bit of each time, but still adding up to 2, and that is how you meta game tea. Anyone who says otherwise, you're wrong. I'm sorry.
Do you think the players on Warwick know that? You were mentioning earlier how the centre of England is where you claim the birthplace and the best tea comes from. So Warwick, pretty central.
Yeah, but as a Notts folk myself, I think I have more experience being central. So that clearly means I know how to make cups of tea more. But if you're a real gamer, you need energy drink. Gamer time. I suggest to evolve esports, you mix the energy drinks with the cups of tea, you become the best. Simple, nobody can stop you because you've transcended to a new being of esports.
I think if Warwick adopted that strategy, they would be unstoppable. I don't think there would be a competition here. I think we'd just give the trophy to Warwick as it is, and they just wouldn't be able to be stopped. I don't know. There's no way 2 ways around it.
But Overwatch, the developers have decided to clearly give every single Doomfist player a bit of that energy drink and tea mix by making a Doom buff, which means whenever he's in his ult, he now gets 75 HP every second he's in that area, which is nuts because now you don't have to use it to back up and hide and survive. No, you go up, boom, and then you come down, boom, and you're full health, and it's time to become Doomfist again.
I think that's I think that patch is getting dropped tomorrow, from what I know.
Yeah.
Which Warwick might be sad about. From what little I do know about their current roster, is that I think we should be expecting to see a Doomfist tonight. So if that patch got dropped yesterday or even maybe earlier today, I think Warwick would be in a pretty good position for tonight. But for right now, they're gonna still be using. They're still strong Doomfist, but just not as strong as he will be tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a strange one because Doomfist, right? It's already Doomfist. Now you've got Warwick, people who play Doomfist to a strong level already, clearly, as they've started the Cinderella story, climbing through the losers brackets, made their way to the final. Just imagine, just take that in. What if that buff was a few days earlier? So we would like to thank the developers for delaying it for this special case.
Yeah, Blizzard actually realized that the University Esports Grand Finals was occurring today, so for competitive integrity chose to release the patch tomorrow, which we thank Blizzard for. Thank you. Some of the other changes on the patch were that Winston now ignores armor, which is an interesting one. D.Va and Break are now going to have a much more difficult time. In general, they buffed Tracer, they buffed Sombra. In general, it seems trying to push the dive agenda, which maybe Houston Outlaws for tonight should be happy that the patch is not out, as they are not running dive. They are very much running Brawl with the Junker Queen. So Blizzard, maybe next season we'll be seeing a lot more dive. We saw a lot of Sigma earlier during this season. We saw a lot of tanks apart from Winston, really. So hopefully, maybe next time we'll be seeing more.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate that this patch wasn't a couple of weeks ago, as we saw as Houston and Warwick now have both taken out Unisco. They were monkey players. They enjoyed a bit of Winston. And that Winston change a few weeks ago could have changed everything, as they were good with that team comp.
Incredible.
But I find it quite interesting that the only ones that could stop them was Houston and Warwick. That definitely sets up a certain class level. We've both seen them get challenged by this UNESCO side, but the one who had a better record was Houston. You've got to give credit to that.
Yeah, Warwick, we saw in the bracket, they were in the lower finals actually playing UNESCO, and that went 3-2, so definitely some opposition shown there. On the winner side of things, I think it was it a 3-0? Was it a 3-1 for the side of Houston? It was definitely, it was not a map 5. I would remember a map 5.
Yeah.
But speaking of maps, today's a best of 7. We'll be maybe expecting a maximum of 7 maps, but we should be seeing our first pick here, and it is going to be Lijiang Tower. Now, for the past few weeks, we've seen a lot of Ilios, and we've seen a bit of Lijiang, and now we're going back to Lijiang. I think it might have been the highest seeds pick, so I think Houston Outlaws picked this map.
Yeah, I believe so. Lijiang Tower, definitely an interesting map because it does have a lot of core brawly team comps on certain areas of the map and certain aspects. They can perform really well, and then on certain areas on the map, it's all about quickness and dive and taking that space and maybe controlling the bridge. Who knows? Can you block the TP? But it's always an interesting match to watch because of how versatile it is and the way that team comps work, which I think it's a perfect match to start this series off.
Yeah, I think every point on Lijiang allows for maybe a platform and control point. Maybe that's a bit more indoors and a bit more polarizing against a dive. But I think the other 2 points very much allow for both teams to still run their comfort picks to a relative degree of success. So I think it's a pretty good pick from Houston Outlaws, especially because the other maps, Ilios and the others, might have been favoriting the dive a bit more, whereas the Junker Queen and the Brawl going to be right at home here on Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued to see how these two team comps work against each other. As we've seen, Warwick, they do favor a bit of the Doomfist, but the Junker Queen on the side of Houston, they can be very, very interesting to watch matchups, especially on a map like Gardens, as Junker Queen can be so powerful if not shut down. Likewise Doomfist, but they both have a strong way of shutting each other down. It's who can hit that skill shot, who can shut the other counterpart down quickest, really, and that's what it's going to come down to, especially on a map like Gardens. But the Junker Queen is going to have to be slightly more careful of that punch off the bridge, because we all know that's instant sad and you're out at that point, which nobody wants to see. You don't want it to happen to you.
We've seen, speaking of falling off the map, we saw, I think, a lot of Lucio from the Houston Outlaws. So again, we were highlighting the tank player and the Genji, but both of the supports and the third DPS were also incredible standout players. There's a reason they beat Warwick the first time they encountered. The supports and the Lucio specifically, I saw making a very big impact for the Houston Outlaws. I think it might have been Tequila on their side playing the Lucio and the Brig. And you saw, especially in the last set they played, both Lucios were very active. But the Lucio on the side of the Houston Outlaws was just active and not dying in the process and getting a lot of value and getting finishing a lot of eliminations off. So on Lijiang, hopefully we'll be seeing a lot of that. Personally, Lucio player, I love to see Lucios winning.
Yeah.
Reddit Lucios is my people over there. I gotta see my representation in these finals.
As much as it might not be the smartest and it's a little bit risky and stupid, especially in these high value scenarios and high risk, please, I just want to see one Lucio roll out for a triple boop off the bridge. That's all I'm asking. Then you can go to play seriously. Just please, the highlight will be phenomenal and you'll cement your name in University Esports history.
Imagine you're here in University Esports Grand Finals. It's Ilios map 1, and the first thing you do is get a triple boot. I think the momentum you'd carry with that, I think you'd win on the spot. So maybe we don't want that. We don't want anybody winning. We want to see a map 7. We've seen a lot of map 3s, map 4s. We didn't see any map 5s in the past 2 weeks on the broadcast, so hopefully this should be... We saw that the last time these two played, they went to a map 5. So we're expecting a very close and competitive match. And with more maps available up to map 7, that's a lot more data to collect. That's a lot more different maps you can see and a lot more different styles of comp you have to play. So hopefully that should, especially with losers picks, show us be very competitive. As you imagine it, the loser of every map would pick the map they're good at next.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see the different maps that are going to be picked and how they all interact with each other, because this time it's not a, oh, if it goes to 3-1, we get a 4th map. No matter what, we are getting a 4th map, which means all the game modes are going to be played, which is nice because that's not something you'll always get, and it's always interesting to see how teams go against each other and how that reacts with each different game mode. But as we're going to see, hopefully we see a lot more maps, and we're going to be learning whether we see a lot of maps very, very soon, as we're going to be heading straight into the game any minute now.
I just want to see a good game here. Really, we've been doing these past few weeks. We've been playing. We've been watching it so much. We've been seeing some storylines develop, and it's all going to culminate here in the grand finals of the event. As we see the Houston Outlaws opening with the comp we saw last week and the week before that, the Genji, the Junker Queen, the Brawl in general. Tequila on the Moira. We'll see if he sticks to that. But on the side of Warwick, we see Ball actually.
Ooh.
Ah, never mind. Baiting us a little bit. There's the Doomfist we were expecting.
Cheeky bait and switch. Okay, so both teams are opting for the TP off spawn, which is nice. Made of Stone on that classic Genji straight away. I'm really intrigued to see how this Andreas Doomfist is going to interact with the Junk Queen here. It's going to be quite hard to find value unless taking a big risk.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it, just because it's also just, we've not seen it yet. We saw that they've been the only team to take Houston here to a map 5, so they must be a certain caliber of play.
Yeah.
But as we see the first point, Houston Outlaws win it. Warwick Angels, Andres trying to get in there with the Doomfist and just getting pressured out a bit. However, right there, catching Hovey out of position, getting the Lucio early, but the Mei dies in return.
Yeah, it's definitely a very stable and nice start from Houston Outlaws, a set from Hovey on the Lucio, taking a little bit of risk there.
I think a little bit of miscommunication there going. Warwick, the backline dropping low, and Andres holding forward, maybe seeing an opening to try and get a pick and just pick somebody off early before the fight could begin, but they end up falling and the fight resets. But Andres actually, such an aggressive Doomfist here. Going in, getting damage, jumping out, not dying for it. Got to build that up.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of risk, but as you said, Doomfist is booming the ult charge very, very quickly. But is it providing enough stability for the team on the side of Warwick? And it doesn't look like it, but Andreas getting a kill on Made of Stone, and that's a big pick there.
There's that Doom ult, but it doesn't get anybody. Made of Stone and Saki DPS line of Houston Outlaws falling. The Sojourn here trying to get the Junker Queen, falls, but gets traded out in return. Sadly missing a few of the shots there. Lucio manages to make out. Getting chased. Will he make his way out? Lucio, so slippery, and manages to get out. But the point flips to the Warwick Angels.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very strong fight. It didn't look like Warwick were going to take that for a while, but they just managed to edge out a few extra picks, especially from that Doomfist at the start of the fight, taking out both the DPS straight away. It definitely had its impacts and swayed the fight.
We see the Mail be committed here. Entire team of Houston Outlaws managed to make it out though, so nicely navigated out of that Mail. Tequila a bit out of position, but the Kiriko managed to teleport out. Saki sadly not getting anything with the ult, but Mei drops, doesn't need the ult, the normal rail shot will do the business. And that is the first pick going to Houston Outlaws during this fight.
I mean, what a smooth rotation from Houston Outlaws there. To be able to avoid the Blizzard World, not Blizzard World, the Blizzard, and rotate straight to the point. You've dodged an ult, made Warwick rotate themselves and give up the good space, and now you've claimed the point before the fight's even started. You've completely switched the sides with just one swift play of good movement, and then they've ended up winning the fight, especially now they've got ults ready.
Yeah, that's a very important win for Houston Outlaws. If they win this fight here, they might just win this point. Ults get committed, Made of Stone gets one, gets two.
No.
Manages to get free, rolling over the opposition, goes onto the point, and just gonna have to clean up the Doomfist and Mei here, or trying to contest for overtime.
I mean, just such a strong blade again from Made of Stone. Really, really pumping in that damage when it's needed.
Nothing's changed from last week. We were identified that every blade that Made of Stone has just has an enormous impact. And again, just cleaning up the fight there with an excellent display of what we should be seeing for the rest of this map.
Yeah, I mean, Houston Outlaws did a really good job there of maintaining the space that they wanted and pushing themselves and rotating at the exact right times to get into those spots when they needed to. Obviously, amazing team play skill, amazing personal skill, but that's not the beauty of it. Like, any team can come into this competition and perform like a ranked player, but when you start playing like an actual esports team, that's when you see beauty like that. Being able to dodge that blizzard, get onto the point, and farm those ults while getting percentage is just such a big gap in gameplay and just absolute knowledge, and it just really takes them to that next level of team, and it's really what punished Warwick there, but I'm intrigued to see how Warwick return the favor.
Yeah, both teams again just teleporting out of spawn, getting here, fight in the open. No change in comps really from what I can see. Both sticking to their guns, sticking to, they know what they're good at and hoping that Warwick at least in this case, hoping that it will play out differently on this point. May gonna be backing off. The threat of the wall here is so scary, but actually, in Ice Block, you can try capitalize off of that, knowing that the May is vulnerable, but Kiriko saves her!
Quite out of space there. The Made of Stone is definitely showing that they are not afraid to fight a 4v5.
Yeah, nobody turning behind, identifying that the Genji is just picking at the backline. However, Warwick Angels seem to have got a few more picks after that initial one, and the first point will go to Warwick.
Warwick did a really good job there of shutting down the Junker Queen so fast and being able to zone them out of being away from their team and just taking out the Junker Queen, and then playing the fight a little bit slower from there, a little bit more careful, just so they can clean up themselves. They know the tank threat is gone, so they can slowly take that space in the point.
Yeah, Warwick, incredible play from the Kiriko, Micro Yeti, identifying that the May is about to get targeted because it was out of an ice block, but the Bell saving the main in the end. Will they save the Doomfist here though? Coming in and getting a little bit more than anticipated, taking a lot of damage, but manages to jump out, and Mail is committed, but May dies in the process. I think that's a win for Warwick. They've got too many.
Yeah, it was a much better use of Blizzard this time, not just for the kills aspect, but for the zoning. That you've just completely cut off one entrance and the wall just absolutely zoning both teams out of the fight. It's really separating the teams. Just whenever one team shows great team play and spatial awareness, it's what's winning the team fights.
However, they did commit 2 ults to win that fight, and Houston didn't commit anything. So Houston now going into this fight with the advantage. Blade is popped, but Belly's burned, gets one. Kiriko manages to take away avoiding, but doesn't die to a Doomfist. Gets stunned, and actually the Doom ends up getting it. Junker Queen ult is committed. Now it's Houston's time to click the Q button. Break comes in with Rally. It's such a scary thing to be staring down. That stun is still available to the break. Just keeping themselves in it. Lucio B is committed. Saki gets 2. Keeping Houston in this fight, trying to flip it into their favor. Kiriko falls. It's just for Doomfist remaining. Gets 1, but will he be able to fend off 3? I think May has returned into the fight as well. So Warwick still having an incredible stall here, and they've got to 99%. It's going to overtime.
Looks like Warwick are going to give that. They know that they can take their time here. They don't want to feed ults. It's 99%. They can refresh together and go straight back in.
Look at this! Doomfist going so far to get Saki. If Sasaki was still on that Sojourn, it might have been a different story there, but having swapped over to the Echo, it seems, just flies away.
Yeah, it's such a dominant performance now from Warwick. This is definitely their map, and they're utilizing space so much better. Made of Stone being taken down, so does Hovey. Houston Outlaws here have 0 ults. Is there anything they can do to combat this?
I don't think Kiriko will be able to touch him. But we're going to a point 3 here on this map, and that means we are going to Gardens. Now, Gardens, incredible map to be watching here. The 2 comps playing very differently. Houston Outlaws going to try get onto point and keep it. Junker Queen obviously with the shotgun, with the axe, they're going to have a incredibly fun time on the point. But the question is, will they reach it? Warwick here with the Doomfist going to be able to do a very good job at defending the bridge and the other entrance to the point through the White Room. So I think if Houston get onto the point, they should be having a good time, and Warwick's objective here should be keeping them off.
See, what I'm interested in here is we do have the Hovey on Lucio. Maybe they could get a rollout here, maybe stop the TP to slow down Warwick if that's going to be sticking onto this matchup. No, this matchup gets switched out. It's just an early TP. But Andreas already had the bridge ready.
Yeah, Houston here correctly identifying that they should be going via the side room and not via the bridges. But May burns the ice block early. The knife connects and the rest of the team goes on it. But again, the Kiriko is such a clutch bell to save the May in that situation.
Yeah, Houston really are just struggling to hold the space in these very tight, closed off areas. It's like they're struggling to show the stability in their team comp and be able to watch out for that May and the zoning capabilities. The Kiriko, they're forced to use a TP to manage to catch with the Jungle Queen. It's showing that they're not really capable of being in this scenario. It's alarming, but it's definitely not the worst thing in the world because they are playing really well together.
Yeah, Houston got the first pick there, but despite that, I think the May they just stayed alive long enough to pick off individuals. We saw Beta Stone struggling to wall climb away, try reflect the May, but obviously it doesn't work like that. So the May putting a lot of work in that fight for the side of Warwick.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not too sure about the Echo pick, but it does seem that it can be countering these other teams and do a lot of damage here. Especially when that ult comes out, being able to swap to Doomfist, and you're going to have such a big threat about you, and to be able to take so much space. But oh no! 2-0.
2-0 fault. Yeah, Kiriko ult is committed in that fight, and the rest of the team just no other ults committed. Just using the increased fire rate to just delete the Houston Outlaws from that fight.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued to see how these ults are going to come out from Houston, because it seems like they are struggling in the team fights where they're not using ults, and they are getting outmanaged with their ults. They're losing these team fights, and Warwick do still have all their ults but the Kiriko rush. So they do have a big threat here entering this team fight.
May gets low, Doomfist jumps in, all the movement committed, so maybe could capitalize off of that, but the May wall separating the Genji there for a bit. Echo ulting, getting out of a tricky situation with that one, buying another life. Doomfist is copied. Will the Doomfist cult come out? I don't think it's needed. Just CCing the Brig alone is very good value to be getting out of his copy.
Yeah,
and Houston win this fight, but I think they committed I think they committed to every single ultimate that fight.
They did.
That's the 5-ult challenge.
They are going to have to play fairly aggressively in this next fight to try build some ult charge, maybe slow Warwick down, make sure they can potentially get a pick before Warwick use an ult, because if they are allowed space and allowed time to use their ult, it's going to get very, very sticky fast for Houston.
Warwick, speaking of Warwick's ults, there's Sojourn firing off, but not managing to secure a kill yet. There we go, 2-0. Made of Stone falls as well, and the Echo, Matt Murray, a very crazy free kill there with the Sojourn ult. And, I mean, there's not much you can do against that. Warwick are just going to win the fight after that one.
Yeah, Houston are getting separated quite heavily. And then it seems like the Junker Queen is getting left alone and then bullied on that point. But we have seen the Junker Queen swap to a Doomfist here. And the Pharah.
Yeah, well,
interesting.
An entirely different comp coming out of Houston. Nothing that we've seen before from them. They just go straight onto the point through the window. Warwick not maybe actually prepared for that. Not having seen the 2-0 Doomfist before, so expecting everybody to go via rooms. But 2-0 falls, gets a lot of people low, but not low enough to make a difference, it seems. And Warwick, again, just clean up the fight, and Houston's going to have to try rush to this point to touch it.
Yeah, I mean, just an amazing map 1 from Warwick Angels. Being able to turn that around after losing the first round so quickly and so cleanly. It just seems like in that last fight, Houston, they started to turn around. They started to get players low and they started to do damage, but it seems like they just got a little bit greedy. The Doomfist pushing out there and getting caught out, and then the Genji hunting for the Kiriko kill and getting taken down. It just seems like they could have stabilized and known that they've done that damage and take the point and be happy with it.
Yeah, that was, we have to remember as well, that was Houston's, the Houston Outlaws map pick. They chose to go there. I think the reason was that the control center for server one was basically a guaranteed win for them.
Yeah.
And they did win it. Brawl is just such a strong point, just a strong comp to be playing on that, and they seem to be very confident with it. We saw very good rotations from that team at that point. And then from there, they only need to win one more to win the map.
Yeah.
But they didn't. Warwick managed to win the other two with the Doomfist comp, and it just the map pick didn't go as anticipated. We'll be seeing some replays here, the best moments from that map. And I'm gonna this point we're gonna be seeing a lot of there we go. We're gonna be seeing a lot of Houston Outlaws play. Made a stone there with the insane free K, 2-0 as well, just being a beast. Best Junker Queen Asia, self-proclaimed. But on this point here, and for the rest of the map, I think Warwick just were in the driving seat the entire time.
Yeah, they were just such a dominant force, it seemed like, in these closed-off areas where you have to be inside the room. It seemed like Doomfist from the side of Warwick really shined there at pairing with the Mei and cutting off players from Houston, just doing so much damage and restricting the fast kind of dominant play that they wanted to play, and it seems like they weren't able to adapt. But I mean, just such amazing plays from both teams, especially.
I want to highlight Micro Eddie, the Kiriko on the side of Warwick during that map. There were so many moments where 2-0 for Junker Queen was just running in, had basically a guaranteed kill. Saw the Mei had burnt wall, saw the Mei had burnt ice block, and it was like, alright, this is what probably called comp to the team. We are entering, we are pushing, this Mei is free. But just the Kiriko, every single time, just had Bell off cooldown. Incredible usage, just cooldown management there. And bailed the Mei out every time, and by that point, 2-0 didn't get the kill, was just overextending and ended up dying himself and losing the fight.
Yeah, it was definitely a strong game for a lot of players there. It seemed like maybe Houston were lacking something. The spark that maybe Warwick were lacking in the first map that they were able to reverse. It just seems like they're very contextual teams. They are both so good against each other and so good in general. But when they're forced onto a map that the other team shines on, it seems like they're not able to adapt and overcome the bearings that come with it.
Yeah, we saw a comp change on the third point there at the very end. 2-0 swapping off of the Junker Queen, which I don't think we've seen happen at all yet, onto the Doomfist and the Pharmacy coming out as well. But it shows signs of adaptation, and potentially in the future maps we'll be seeing more variety in comps. But also maybe that they're a bit scared of Warwick and don't feel comfortable running that the team they're usually running, and getting a bit out of their comfort zone, it seems, to have to try challenge Warwick here and adapt. But last time it went to map 5 and Houston Outlaws came out on top, so we're definitely not out yet. We're in a best of 7 here, so a lot could still happen. And I just want to see him on the comeback.
Yeah, so we both know what map's going to be next. Well, what map type I should say. It's hybrid. And if Houston are looking to make a comeback here, what maps on hybrid specifically meet the demands of a fast-paced brawl team where a few players can get onto the high ground? If you ask me, I would say Kings Row. For any question, I'd say Kings Row. But for that especially, I'd say Kings Row. And that's what Houston did last time. So I'm very excited to hopefully be saying we are going into Kings Row soon, because it's just such an exciting map, especially for the team comps they're running. They can really just clash into each other really well and create such interesting team fights.
Yeah, we'll be seeing the maps here, I hope, soon. But yeah, I agree with the Kings Row. We've seen that they took it there before. And there it is, Kings Row, the old classic. Houston Outlaws, yeah, last week I think also managed to drop map 1, but ended up going to Kings Row. And they had a more difficult time than anticipated. The high grounds on the first point especially. On their team, only Made of Stone is the only real player who can contest the high ground. So the rest of the team kind of struggled, but eventually they made it through the first point, and it's Kings Row, it's Brawl, it's Jungle Queen, but you're going to have a good time. And I just want to see what Warwick are going to pull out here. We saw that Houston are not unbeatable on this map, so maybe Warwick will identify the win condition and contest those high grounds.
Yeah, as 2-0 told us in the interview a couple of weeks ago, they they're a strong team and they know the rotations well, as we saw. But what they struggle with a little bit is helping peel for the team when they're getting dominated from the very fast teams and the high ground based teams, as 2-0 can't really do too much on the Junker Queen for countering that, but they are a team that knows each other well, and 2-0 does what he can to prevent the backline by being punished, by forcing point and forcing that brawl as quick as possible, and that's how they ended up getting the point a couple weeks ago when they went against a team that really made them struggle.
Yeah, it worked especially well with Junker Queen, because that shout just allows you to suddenly gain more HP and just run onto point. You can... we saw, I think the way they won it was just by exactly doing that and just ignoring the high ground, using the over health and using the speed to just contest a point and force them the fight to occur there. So we'll see if that happens here. Warwick, Doomfist is actually a very good character at slowing down the Junker Queen, pushing the... if Junker Queen uses shout at the wrong moment, could just eat a punch and just suddenly the cooldown just gets wasted because you get flung backwards, you lose your speed, your health is about to go away, and it can just really slow down the pace of the match. And I think that's what we saw a lot of on that point there as well, on Li Zhang.
Yeah, especially when paired with the Mei, it's the Doomfist punches the Junker Queen out of position, the Mei wall traps the Junker Queen, and then the Junker Queen's trapped helpless without that shout, and they really struggle to get out and perform in the ways that they should do, because how can you use your shout to be aggressive when you have to be afraid of potentially using it in a defensive manner to get yourself out of there and get yourself back to the team? At what point are you able to go in and punish the players that are out of position on the side of Warwick? And that's what it kind of felt like in the second round of Li Zhang Tower, because every time 2-0 was pushing in, like when we saw that Mei pushed in on the Mei got Suzu'd, and then Junker Queen got punched straight into a wall, slowed down by the Mei and taken out quick as that, and then it was just Houston struggling to bring the team fight back to their advantage and be able to perform in the way that they wanted to.
Yeah, the backline has Warwick as well. It was a Brig and a Kiriko the entire time. Both incredibly strong picks into this scenario. Kiriko, obviously, we saw the direct contribution to the fight is just a Suzu to save people. But in general, Kiriko's single target healing is very good, so a Mei gets targeted. Kiriko can just bail him out of jail pretty quickly. Brig as well. If you're fighting on these points, where you'd expect Houston to have the advantage because of the Junker Queen, with a Brig, you can actually keep the fight going for a very long time and keep Inspire up and keep your team entirely healthy. But we should be going into the map here. We should be hopefully not surprised by the team comps we're seeing. We should be seeing a confident Houston Outlaws coming out with what they know they're good at.
Okay. See, it's what we know and what we've seen before, but what I'm really, really, really excited about is Warwick pulling out the Reinhardt. Now all we need to see is the Reinhardt start up top and pin off the high ground over the bus, CS Surf straight next to that statue, and just hammer in straight away and just pump in so much damage. And no, they've swapped to Doomfist. Okay.
We see a small change on the side of Houston Outlaws. Tequila swapping off of the Kiriko to the Baptiste here. Opting for the higher output and the potential AoE healing from Bap. And I imagine the Lamp. Matua was getting out of position a lot, pushing a lot, and just getting caught off guard by a Mei. A Baptiste Lamp can definitely save you in situations like that, so maybe identifying what they were getting punished for, and this is their answer.
Yeah, I'm liking Warwick's initial start to this round, but ooh, Saki taking out the Mei.
Beta Stone getting pushed back by the Doomfist as well, but manages to make it out alive. 2-0 as well. They got one pick, held forward, getting another two, wrapping up the fight. That's what we like to see. This is the confidence we know Houston for.
Yeah, I really like the setup that Warwick went for at the start of the fight, and then it just seems like the Doomfist went straight back to the choke point and forced them basically back to square one after they already had used a couple abilities to create a bit of space.
Yeah, Saki getting an insanely valuable pick at the beginning of the fight. It's very difficult, like if right at the beginning one of your teammates falls, to still have the confidence to hold forwards. Missing the Genji, sadly not going to be able to connect that and try capitalize off of it. Doomfist just jumping in, targeting the Junker Queen, but like having plenty of support from the backline to come out alive. There it is! Getting caught off position, and the Baptiste lamp from Tequila's buying a few seconds, but actually not saving the life of a 2-0 in the end. Lamp gets popped down, but I don't think anybody on the side of Houston Outlaws were able to capitalize off of it.
I mean, that's just such good team play, and the way that Andreas took the space there was just incredible, slowly inching their way forward and forcing Houston off the point. And then the second the Doom has them in the perfect place they want them, the May wall comes in, Doom gets that punch onto Junker Queen. You have to force out so much utility there, and then you're left with effectively a free point. There is no lamp, there is no Junker Queen. What can Houston do to get back on the point? Attempt to dive in, but that's playing against your odds. You're not likely to win that, and either way, Warwick are going to get some percentage.
Yeah, but Doomfist's initial dive wasn't what took the kill in the end. It was the teamwork that followed. But here we see Mail got committed, back, just forcing Houston back, really. I think it had no real chance of catching anybody, but Maywall is committed. Junker Queen gets caught and falls. The Baptiste lamp is not enough. It doesn't come out quick enough to save the Junker Queen, and the rest of the Houston Outlaws seem to be falling here at the hands of the May.
Yeah, that's just brilliant. That is just such strong play as a team that, no, you can't get up there, May. Nice try, but they just worked together so well. They took the corner so swiftly. The way the abilities are being used has just been near perfect. But forget about abilities. You got ultimate abilities coming up. You've got Beat and Blade from Houston Outlaws. They're such just match-winning ults. But Warwick, they do have a slight ultimate advantage.
Made of Stone goes in with a Genji ult. Tries, doesn't chase the Sojourn, who can just dash out. Instead, dashes into a brick who was propped rally, and Made of Stone sadly falling there, wasting the Genji ult. Tequila in the process also falls to the Sojourn ult, and Warwick just collapsing on UCL here.
This is a side like we've not seen. You don't see Warwick. Warwick are a dominant side. Don't
get
forget
it twisted. They're insane.
But they seemed a lot closer in the first match, and Warwick are really doing such a good job at snowballing against Houston here. They're managing their ultimates pretty good. Not perfect, as they don't have any right now, and perfect would be they would have around 2 right now. But still, it's so good. Look at Doom there, just forcing out the window, taking so much pressure and just stopping them completely from using that ult.
Yeah, that's insane. Just jumps in, scares Tequila, forces the window, and then jumps out and completely forces the Bap to waste the ultimate ability. 2-0 getting put under so much pressure, almost being bailed out by his teammates, but no, in the end manages to fall. May gonna contest for a bit here. Saki actually, yeah, on the May now, meaning that they swapped off of the Sojourn that we've seen him play so much of to such a high proficiency. And Made of Stone on the Sojourn actually. Houston Outlaws playing, just looking for an answer here.
Yeah, this is the first time we saw them look a little bit lost on the side of team comps and seem like they have to be forced onto something they're not comfortable with.
Yeah, on the point here. 2-0 going to be contesting, but it's not enough. Saki going to be jumping in with a mail. Could buy a few precious seconds, but it doesn't seem to be enough. Oh, no. Warwick just still target the players and end up winning the fight here. And you're going to be able to contest? No.
And that's a 3-minute advantage there. That is such a strong round for Warwick Angels. They've done such a good job there at keeping their momentum, almost having those ults up at all times, at baiting out the ults from Houston, managing their space well, letting Andres take a lot of the damage, jump in, jump out, and now they fight. It's such a good job. It's like they've planned these fights out so many times, and they've started to get it down to the absolute spec.
Yeah, Warwick are, they have a script in front of them, and they're playing it perfectly. And it turns out Houston may also have the same script, and it doesn't look like a happy ending right now for them. 3 minutes is such a dominant capture time. That is, you were a small speed bump to them. There was no major resistance provided. Capping the point, understandable. You know what? You'd like to think the modes in this game are balanced, and that you'd be expecting a lot of final captures if the maps are made correctly, which we like to. Kingsrow is a sacred place. But 3-minute capture time remaining is so much time.
Yeah.
Even if Houston cap here, they're going to have an uphill battle to win this point.
I mean, it's definitely not over for Houston here because they have such an aggressive team comp that they might be able to force their way through and maybe get close to that time bank that's left. They do have the ults that are very, very impactful, and you can use one and win the fight, so that is quite good for their ultimate economy, so they could be taking the fight early here. But we're getting straight into this, and they're just going straight in with an aggressive playstyle against that Doomfist.
Andre's getting caught off guard a bit, but the knife not connecting, so not going to be able to get pulled back in and punish for it. Go straight to the point, forcing the fight there. May hopping on, but I think May will and Blocker on cooldown now. But there it is again, the Kiriko Bell saving the Suzu last minute, but the rest of the team this time is there to support 2-0, not just going to be a one-man army. And Houston Outlaws actually, with the help of some clutch icicles from Saki, are going to be taking the point in the first fight. This is what they needed to stay in this game.
I mean, they're definitely going to be happy after that. Now they know we need to keep up that momentum and push hard. Now, obviously, taking the point super, super fast is amazing, and it's great for the team, but it does leave you going into the second point, which can be a little more dragged out and stagnant with no ultimate abilities, which is not the best scenario, as you do normally want an auto going into it. But it seems like they are building their ults well coming into the second fight.
Yeah, Warwick coming up here, but not going to be contesting the choke. A lot of abilities being thrown out there to save the main in that situation, but 2-0. It's 2-0 sneaking in an accident. A sneaky Junker Queen is not what you often see, but it looked like the May got caught off guard by 2-0's positioning there. And the rest of the team going to be following this. Houston lost a few in the process, but eventually going to come out on top and going to continue pushing his point, hoping to cap the second one here.
Yeah, I mean... Okay. So, we're seeing Houston here. They've still not been using ults. They have the Baptiste and the Blizzard, and they're coming up on the rest. Whereas,
there's the Bapple.
Oh, and the window comes out early. It's definitely doing a lot of zoning here. It's probably not going to get many kills. Yeah, they have to be very careful about contesting this.
We haven't seen a huge amount of kills being capitalized off of these Bapples, but on the side of Warwick, also Mail is committed. Doom falls down, contest the point. Junker Queen's committed as well, and it's so big. It gets one, it gets two, forces the ice block out of May, but May also falls as Made of Stone rolls over everybody with the blade and getting a fall with the reflector at the end. Made of Stone coming out, cleaning up just at the end of that fight there and securing the second point with 5 minutes to try cap the end.
I mean, beautiful fight from Houston. They are at a bit of a problem here. They do only have beat for this next fight.
They did click Q a few times.
So they are going to struggle just piercing their way through, but you know, they've got a lot of time. They've got time to build ults.
Nano Doom actually gonna wait for Nano there, jumps in but doesn't get anybody and is actually just forced back out immediately. May Wall's being committed by both sides, and we're approaching the end here, and Warwick are gonna have to find an answer to slow him down. 2-0 actually getting the May early. That's such a big contesting force gone from the team. Beats committed, but just gonna be holding forwards here.
The Lucio punched. That's such a big pick. 2 picks, and the Doomwall comes out, slams straight on point. This is huge. What a big stall. 2 big picks as well.
The Doomfist actually the MVP there, getting 2 completely by himself, it seems, and flipping the entire fate of that point by himself. That was guaranteed, basically, to be Houston's cap. And then Andreas just decided to intervene and just get 2, just one-man army.
That Doom play could be the biggest play of the series here, especially for Warwick. It was so impactful, and the 2 kills and being able to stall for that long until your team comes back, that is the perfect stall. Oh, Tequila going down.
Not many comps can just obliterate you like that when you think you're in the safety of the high ground, but the Doomfist here is going to be one of them. And what should have been a 4-minute remaining capture point, we're approaching the 3-minute mark, and the point is still not captured.
Yeah, I mean, what a turnaround. It seems like Houston have sort of lost their momentum, which is exactly what Warwick needed to do.
Kiriko gets committed on the side of Warwick. But Mayo on the side of Houston, so much value, forces so many abilities out. Not freezing anybody, but 3 are hit with the Junker Queen, 1 falls, 2 remain, but Warwick are just slowing down this fight, which is perfect for them.
The Maid of Stone Blade is ready though, you do have to be careful for that in this next fight.
But it's not going to be appearing. 2-0 fell, and yeah, you got to back out at that point. And now Warwick, no matter if Houston cap or not, we're going to have less time than Warwick did, and capping at this at a slower rate.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to give Doomfist credit there. Just one more time, they've just absolutely worked wonders for Warwick. It's incredible. They do have to be careful here because they do have a lot of ults, but none of them directly combat the Blade as such, and that can be dangerous.
Blade on side of Warwick and Houston, actually. We might be seeing a sword fight during this point. But Warwick, actually, there we go. 1 sword out of the equation. Maid of Stone popping the Blade.
Watch out for the point.
Soji on the high ground. Doomfist falls down, but doesn't get anybody. Kiriko low, no abilities, going to die here. Just Doomfist remaining, and Houston managed to cap. 2 minutes left in the time bank.
That's pretty good.
It kind of hurt when it could have been 4, but yeah, no, 2 minutes. For what? For the attacking side that Warwick had with such dominance to cap away 3, Houston finishing the match with several minutes remaining is more than I was expecting.
Yeah, it's definitely a good time bank to have. I'd always be happy with 2 minutes after that point, especially when you have a rough start like that. It's, you know, they've got to give themselves a pat on their back. They've kept their mental up, they've kept their teamwork together, and they've stayed strong, and they've managed to get a good time. Yeah,
especially in a grand final situation like this, when you're in a best of 7, you need to keep your head in the game. Yeah. You slip up early and you can just get 4-0'd and without even realizing. You need to keep your head in the game. You need to keep concentrate on what's important, which is, you know, the grand finals that you're currently participating in. For Warwick, as a team overall, familiar to this situation, but for a lot of players on the Houston Outlaws, where this is their first time in a scenario like this, it's going to be a lot for them to keep their eyes on the goal the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, got to give credit to Maid of Stone there. Such a massive threat. Ooh. Whenever Maid of Stone walks in with that blade, it's such a big scare factor for Warwick.
Oh, sadly, I loved the vision from the Ananade, but slightly off centre end, just missing the door barely. But it does identify early. But this is the first time I think we've seen Anna this series. Warwick did not pull it out on defense first time round. And already getting value. Going to be anti-nading with Junker Queen, but doesn't end up in a kill. And Doomfist is forced to use the resources to jump out.
Yeah, the Ana here is building Nano very, very quickly, and that's going to be a big scare factor, especially if you're on the side of attack. You get someone low and they get Nano, that's a big, big threat and potential to lose that fight.
Trades on both sides being pulled off. Genji actually taking the attention of 2 players completely by himself. Maid of Stone of his high ground here, forcing so many resources out of the Kiriko. Genji tries to contest on the side of Warwick. May gonna threaten him away, and it seems Houston are so close to capping the point. Last minute appearance from the Doomfist here.
And a C9.
They jump off, let a number in grand finals. A C9 to lose the point, and Houston capped the point with time remaining, and now just have to push the payload as far as possible.
Yeah, the big pick on the Genji, it made it seem like Warwick were going to turn it around there, especially with the Doomfist cameo jumping straight in. But then getting booped off, I think it was a hook off with the knife, which really changed the tides, and then they captured the point, and then it didn't matter about winning the fight. Your spawn point is right there. You're set up for the second point. You're ready to go in, and that is such a big capture for them here. To be able to get onto the second point regardless, it means they can at least win, right? When it comes to defense, it's not be all and end all first point.
Houston approaching a lot of ults here, and only 15 seconds of time bank left, so if they want to win this fight, to push this as far as they can in overtime. But Warwick want to end it here and now, get it popping Banana on the Doomfist, but actually doesn't get a lot of value. I think forced to back off, tries to push in a little bit, but the Junker Queen just going to exert so much pressure with that knife. That's not going to allow anything more happening.
That's such a big pick. They have to be very, very careful here. Oh, Maid of Stone.
Another 2 for Maid of Stone, getting a third. Doomfist all committed, but just to contest it seems, not really going to get any kills. Warwick popping a Genji ult of her own, but not getting the value Maid of Stones did. And Houston Outlaws stay in this fight. Overtime respawns triggering now, so Warwick are going to take a while to get back to this point.
Yeah, they did get a good couple of picks here, so if they can make it back, it's going to be a bit of a scrappy and rough fight. So they have to be ready for anything and everything, especially that Mayo that's going to be coming out. Maybe it seems like they're not going to try touch. Oh, and Doomfist gets back so quickly. The Blizzard comes out.
We're going to try secure the second point here.
Not another.
Oh, they cap it. They're at part 5. They got the second point during that fight there.
Yeah.
Tequila popping the Briggle as well, going to increase the survivability of Houston tenfold. And nobody's died yet, but all of Warwick is low. Matt Murray with the Sojourn here, going to be trying to pick away from a distance, but not managed to secure a kill quite yet. Rail is gone as well. Made a stone, 2-0, getting 2. Yeah, what a performance from the Houston Outlaws in this overtime push here. In every scrappy fight, they're managing to find the opening in the end and clutching it out for themselves.
I mean, that is exactly what Houston Outlaws team comp is made for. The Brig passive healing, the Lucio passive healing, the Mayo and the Mei Wall can contest and do so much spacing and help for the team. You've got the Junker Queen Xiao. It's such a core-based team that can keep each other alive. It seems like they're made for overtime. And now they're entering six-point cap territory, and Warwick really have to get ready to do something big here.
Maidstone going to be trying to get the ultimate here, maybe try to end the map here and now, but Doomfist on the side of Warwick gets popped, forces the Meg block out, but not getting kills. Brig is so low, trying to ice wall the Sojourn off as well, and the Brig falls. Survivability of Warwick is cut in half. Maidstone pops the ult as well, gets one. I think the rest of the team getting the rest, and Houston Outlaws in overtime actually managing to cap the point completely and giving themselves 6 points here.
Wow, that is such a huge round. The way they've been able to stabilize together and really mesh as a team and stay together that entire time with little to no slip-ups, incredible. They get towards the end of the third point and they've got 2 free ults ready. They're ready to let them rip, do so much damage. It just seems like they were entitled to win on this map. But obviously, we saw them do that in 2 minutes. Warwick, they're a strong team and they're very good at carrying the momentum with them. It's definitely doable. They can definitely win this, but it's going to feel like an uphill battle and they're going to need a lot of mental strength here, especially on the first and second point, until they've convinced themselves they can win this to really fight back.
Yeah, suddenly after all of that, Warwick had one on the back foot here, despite initially having more time in the time bank. Houston Outlaws using the overtime perfectly to capture the point at the end there, and Warwick are gonna be the ones to have to use their time to do the same thing. 3 minutes is a lot of time, but to push it to the very end, you have to enter overtime at some point, and at that point, if they lose one fight, they just lose this map. And if they do cap it again, oh, we're in for a fun King's Row.
I mean, we asked for long matches and close matches, and we're getting it.
It's been delivered. Doomfist are gonna take so much damage immediately. I imagine that's a Mei headshot intervening there.
And a early wall coming out to not really block anyone, but it definitely slowed down Warwick's entrance.
Yeah, 2-0 holding forwards there, popping all the abilities to just get a big swing off. And the Mei wall actually traps the Doomfist on the side of Houston, and Warwick are going to lose his first fight. Not the beginning you want if you want to try win this map still.
Yeah, it's the Houston are doing a good job at holding back Warwick here, because they keep trying to force themselves through this front line, but they're not really getting it. They were doing such a good job at slowing the Doomfist down and poking them out straight away, but now it's getting into a scrappy fight.
That's Mei ball. That's Suzu and the Mei block committed, but Maidstone being the one to fall. There's someone on the side of Houston rather than the Warwick.
That is a wall gone. That's a lot of protection gone.
But DPS traded for DPS. Saki falls as well, so DPS down for the side of Houston Outlaws. Will they be able to make it happen? Doomfist going for the back line, but 2-0 on the point. Just going to be contesting. Approaching, gets the ultimate. Will he pop it? He does, but Doomfist ends the ultimate with a punch there, with a kill. Doesn't matter, the ultimate does not come out. And Warwick are going to secure this first point on King's Row.
Warwick just doing such a good job there, closing out the fight and just not managing to chase the Lucio good enough to kill them, but they have managed to keep all ultimates here.
Yeah, I was
so
about to say, that's 4 ults on the side of Warwick. They're gonna...
listen, if you still want to engage, they can, but be careful, because you're not going to win it. You might force out some ults, but you have to be aware that they're coming out.
Yeah, you just need to bait out these ults eventually at some point. Warwick gonna have to be very well disciplined to not click everything at once. And as I say that, they pop 3 at once. Briggle is kept behind, but Freels are committed to win that fight there. In a blink of eye, everything just happened at once. I just saw 5 people get deleted on the side of Houston.
Okay, but, you know, you got to give it to them. They won the fight cleanly. They're going to get most of the second point here. Tequila did use that window, so at least it's not a complete waste of ultimates when you think about it in terms of the ultimate economy trading. But Warwick, they do still have a Brigitte ult, which should keep them alive long enough to build the Sojourn ult, which could do a lot of damage, but that Mei ult is ready, and the Blade's getting ready soon, and this is looking like it's last fight territory.
Yeah, Doomfist jumps into the backline, but it's a Lucio who manages to slip out. We're 15 seconds remaining on this point here. May block is committed.
And the rally comes out.
May ult is committed on the side of Houston. I don't think it catches the Doomfist. Such a valuable target again is here.
Oh, and
in
the
this
beat
moment,
comes out.
such a valuable target. Gonna be all that displacement, all that survivability gone for the side of Warwick.
Wow.
Big also falls, and the Houston Outlaws, UCL, win their map pick of King's Row, despite such a rocky beginning from them on this map.
Wow, what a comeback. That's got to be highlight best map we've seen so far in this split. Just such an incredibly close map, and dominance just shown all round. It's just absolute, no one ever gave up. It seemed like both teams thought they were going to win the whole time in that game. No one seemed to doubt anything, and it's just such a strong blade kill again, made of stone, class.
Insane a player, but that was what Houston wanted, despite losing the first map, going behind such a big deficit on King's Row. I'm impressed that they kept their mental in the game.
Yeah.
Me personally, my ranked games, I'm gone.
Yeah.
I lose that game right there and then. But these guys are better on ranked players. They're a team. They play together. They've got coaches. And we're going to see why. We're going to see the replays here. And there were so many good highlights from this point. We saw Made of Stone there, obviously, getting the 4K. But this Doomfist, the entire set, in map 1 and 2 here, has been such an impactful character for Warwick. As the tank player, of course, always going to have an impact. But it seems this Doom is going up and beyond.
Yeah, it's just wow. I mean, there's so many highlights because it's been such a long match with so many highlights. That's what it comes down to. I mean, just wow. It's, yeah, they both played super well. Houston, they just had the better team, in my opinion, for overtime. Warwick, super good, but they need momentum at all times to make that team work. And it seems like they just lost a bit of momentum because they won the fight on second point too early. They won it too early and they used too many ults, and it just feels like that's what they lacked coming into that second fight. And then, you know, the stability from Houston on the other hand, they didn't really need as many ults because they can survive so long on the payload, countering ults, surviving other ults, and then building their own again, even if they start the fight without them. And I feel like that's what really made the difference. The stability in Houston just much better for overtime.
Yeah, at the end there, Warwick really popping all 3. I think it was this fight here. They popped a Rush, they popped the Doomfist ult, they popped the Mail. It's going to be very difficult to, in an overtime situation, keep yourself into the game if you're popping everything like that. Warwick, we've seen very good teamwork from them. Obviously, the displacement from the Doom and the Mei has been capitalized on every single time, and the awareness to catch out and save your individual players and your teammates. But showing a bit of a crack in the armor with a bit of miscommunication, I imagine, there with those ults being committed, as it's just not what you want to be doing in an overtime scenario like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they both played super well, and it just makes me so excited to get into the next map.
Yeah, no, this was amazing. Map 1 went to point 3. That one went to King's Row being capped a second full time in overtime. This has been a close set so far, and that's only map 2. Going to a map 3 here. This is going to be Warwick's pick, but In fact, map 3 will be after the break, so we'll be seeing you very shortly.
I don't wanna fall for you, oh no. But you make it so hard. Watching you dance all night, baby, is making me fall hard. Trying to take a deep breath, but I just can't control my lungs. Ooh. Trying to hide my cold sweat, but I just keep on talking in tongues. It's a funny situation that I got myself into. I can't help my own frustration. 'Cause I think, yeah, I think I like it.
No, they're not. Super with the threat and only fans rooting on the big round over.
Everyone, if you hate snakes, then this snake will end it here for you. Double kill going to Kyrie on the back side of his fight. Cancels back and forth, and she
Alright, hello and welcome back to University Esports Overwatch 2 Winter 2023 Grand Finals. I'm in the dark a bit now, a bit of mood lighting for the atmosphere here for this game 3.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got blue side, red side. Red side is usually the darker side and
Yeah, no, join the
more
evil
ominous side.
Join the evil, the favourites to win it all, Warwick arguably, so I'm here to represent them today.
Okay.
But-
Well, then I'm going for Houston. I'm best Junker Queen in Asia. I'm repping that.
You gotta represent. So, we're going into a map 3 here, which will be Flashpoint. Now, I think every single time we've seen Flashpoint so far, we have gone to New Junk City and New Junk City. And yeah, no, New Junk City. It seems people have a favorite so far. We've not seen Warwick pick a Flashpoint map here, so maybe we'll be seeing something else, but New Junk City is what I'm expecting.
Yeah.
We'll be seeing the map here, hopefully. And it is
Oh,
not New Junk City. We've seen a new map.
Suravasa.
I think That makes a lot of sense, so Warwick, with a comp they're running.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does make sense. It's very fast-paced maps, and with the team comp they're running, they want fast-paced, they want to snowball, they win the first point, they get on to the second first, they chase the stragglers, they get even more momentum and more snowball effect. It works, but so does Houston's team comp, so it is interesting again. Because they both work in their own right, it just depends how they play and if they force their playstyles strong enough and efficiently.
Yeah, on Flashpoint, I think I pointed out a few times that because you potentially play 5 different points that all vary pretty significantly, the differences in comps might be highlighted a bit more on certain points compared to the rest. But on a whole, Servasa plays better into the Doomfist comp compared to New Junk City, for let's say, where it's a lot of indoors, it's a lot of close quarters for the Junker Queen to abuse, whereas Servasa has a lot more openings, a lot more angles where the Doomfist could suddenly just fly from and surprise you.
Yeah, it's definitely a Ka-Chow kind of map where everything is just a bit all over the place, but I think that's why it's such an interesting map for the 2 team comps, because is it going to be all over the place, or is it going to be forced down to the ground and like, hey, fight us down here, we control the tempo? It seems like Warwick have had a much better time doing that, but we're going to see whether they succeed in doing that right now as we go into the game.
I'm expecting to see the exact same comps as we've been seeing this entire time. It seems to be, I imagine Warwick on the Symmetra maybe to just teleport our spawn, but I don't think either team needs to change what they're doing. They've both got a map. They've both very much shown that when they're playing it well, they can win these points and win these fights. So nothing gonna have to be changed. No spice to the formula here.
Yeah, they definitely do what they do well, and you know, if you perform worse by changing that, then just keep doing what you do.
Yeah. Warwick, yeah, swapping the Symmetra over to a Mei last second. Nothing changing here, but gonna be good on this point. I think this point has such a varying amount of coverage depending on from what angle you're looking at, that an extra Mei wall being thrown onto the point will buy a lot of space for the Warwick Angels here.
Yeah, the Mei is just going to be so dominant here. It's going to create a lot of space possession and a lot of cover for Warwick to kind of chill out a little bit mid-fight.
Yeah, but maybe able to just split the point in half basically here. Made a Stone just poking from the side. Doomfist actually turning it back to him. Solo manages to get out, but chipped away at the Genji, but not making it out alive. Makes it out alive. Sojourn actually getting reflected by the Genji there. No lives being taken, but a lot of damage on the Doomfist. Forces him to back off, and the point goes to Houston Outlaws.
Yeah, it's definitely a strong fight from Houston there. They did a good job at poking and working their way around the wall and keeping players zoned out and forcing the Doomfist into dangerous areas where they're forced to use the wall and then be able to attack again. The window does come out, and that's going to create a lot of space. And now they've got to run. They have to be very, very careful here.
Tequila, yeah, again, these windows haven't been doing a huge amount of direct kills, but they've been forcing a lot of them fights to just end early by forcing Warwick to back off, for even if it is for just a couple of seconds.
I mean, it's... Just look at the play that's going on right now. Genji managing to battle Doomfist up close like that, that is unheard of. That is such a risky play from Genji, but manages to make it work and gets out safely, just forcing the Doomfist away bit by bit. And Warwick just aren't really getting onto the point here. They're putting in poke, they're not dying straight away, but are they getting in?
Dropped so low. Tequila gonna be there to heal him up though. Mail committed, but Lamp potentially saving a few, doesn't save 2-0, who's on the point by himself at that point. But it is on 99, so if Houston are willing lose this point here, which they may not, actually made a stone, popping the Genji ult, gets booped back by the break and ends up getting nobody, it seems. That was I respect the attempt. Made a stone. Yeah. We've seen him pull off crazier, but sadly there to break. Key Dog just with a very clutch whip shot to push the Genji away.
I mean, that's exactly what Warwick want. A wasted ult, players getting straggled out and staggered on their way to spawn. It's that is how you snowball, and that's what they've been doing. And now they've pushed them up so far, using the momentum.
He gets
But
pulled
no,
back. But Knight from
May.
the Junker Queen forces the mate into the team, and at the start of this fight, one player up, going to be holding forward. You see Warwick backing off as far as possible. They can't back off too far. The points are 99 for Houston, so if they catfish, they can just win the point here.
just slightly too aggressive, but Doomfist zoning off half the team here. Now they can collapse straight onto the Junker Queen. Such a smart play to cut the healers off. Going to be blocking that window now.
It jumps through the window. You can't be using it if you're in front of it, and I think despite the incredible opening pick from the Houston Outlaws, incredible play from the Doomfist there will flip the fight in Warwick's favor.
Yeah, I mean, there've been so many reverse flips and sweeps where the complete fight, the objectives have changed in seconds, and one team fight has lasted into effectively 3, and they've managed to stall it out. Is just incredible. Warwick managing to go from 0 to 99 and win so convincingly is actually quite impressive.
Yeah, again, it's down to this teamwork where you play with enough confidence and you trust your game plan that even if you lose a fight or two, you keep playing, and it just worked for him. Here we see point 2 opening. Mail gets tossed out, and it only catches the opposing May, forcing the ice block out. Made a stone on the point alone, split off from his teammates then, because the Mail was in between. He wouldn't get the healing to make it out alive from that one.
I mean, it was a smart Mail, and it helped slow down the fight and Warwick get a good advantage. May does go down sadly for it, but I think it was worth it in the end.
2-0 trying to sneak out here. Will he make it out alive? Nope. Gets caught off, and a few more seconds are bought here for the Warwick Angels. Actually, Andreas going for a funny push there, but he makes it out alive. So, Baptiste isn't going to be 1v1ing a Doomfist quite like that.
Yeah, I'm liking the aggression. They're doing a good job at forcing players into spots that they don't want to be in. And now Doomfist has the ult, the Sojourn has the ult, and they can pair quite well together to do a ton of damage here.
Yeah,
Doomfist, oh, lurking behind, waiting.
Somebody's going to have to slaughter Sojourn at some point. It's probably going to be made of stone. Assigned to the high ground, Genji obviously being one of the most mobile characters in the game. Genji ult gets committed. B gets committed, but the Kiriko buys so much precious time alongside the main, the ice block, and actually made a stone. Went from having what seems like 2 guaranteed kills to only 1. Keto getting frozen there is so valuable. The Briggle is being popped, and the last second after the ult pops falls, but it's not enough, and the Warwick Angels capped a 2nd point.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, just absolute dominance there from Andreas. Managing to keep the stability as a Doomfist, being able to be that stable and that dominant is just absolutely crazy. Having the same effects as a Junker Queen on a dive character is just superb. The way that you can angle yourself and take the spaces to adjust to these different team comps and team fights, it shows how versatile Andreas is.
We're here on the 3rd point, a lot more open, a lot of angles to be playing out, but also a few corners for the sneaky Maze charging for icicle shots. May playing the corner there excellently against the 2-0, waiting for the Doomfist to come in and give backup before committing anything else. Lamp gets forced out of the Baptiste, but Andreas is so low, he's forced to jump away. 2-0, such a valuable axe swing, and Houston Outlaws win the 1st point there. Beta Stone falls, Saki gets the bring in return, and will it make a difference? I don't think so.
I mean, Andreas managing to get out is
Well, that's impressive.
yeah, it's pretty crazy itself, and it's showing that they know how to manage their space, get in, get out, and look at the all charge benefit because of it.
I think Houston were in this position last time we saw them. They also swapped to the Echo on this 3rd point here, and they ended up reverse 3-0ing. So hopefully we'll be seeing a bit more of the same if you're a Houston Outlaws fan.
Yep.
2-0 getting caught out. Lamp comes in to save him, but only buys a few seconds, whereas the rest of the team just blows through it. Brig is copied. Getting rid of the opposing Brig is so valuable. That's increases your unsurvivability because the opponents, but it's forced out. Andreas actually falls, made of stone, on the Sojourn now.
Oh, man.
Warwick flipped a point, but a lot of ults are committed from both sides of both teams here.
Yeah, the only thing to point out is Warwick did such a good job at holding on to that fight and kept fighting that the ults they used towards the start, they've once again built again. That Mei was on 50% already. You've got the rally almost online, which can pretty much shut down anything Houston want to throw at the mids. They just need to hang on for 1 or 2 fights here, and then they've got this map.
Yeah, we see Houston approaching Bap and Sojourn. Maybe you could combine the two there for the deadliest Sojourn you've seen in your life. But we've seen the Bapple not get a huge amount of value so far in this series. So hopefully we'll be seeing a change of pace in that regard. Briggle is popped, so is Bap actually.
The ults are coming online for Warwick here. Houston have to be ready for it. I don't think they know.
There it is, Sojourn through the window, but the break very smartly backs up just before the Mei comes out. The projectile, the rail there
Made of stone.
makes it through, and I think that's going to be enough to win Houston this point. You're on 81%, Warwick's on 90, so the winner of the next fight will probably win this point. And if you're Warwick, win this map.
Oh no. The Mail is ready. It just depends. Is the Mail going to get there in time?
Mei so far away.
Oh, the Doom is ready to touch.
98, 99, Doom touches, but he's alone. Is it going to be enough burst damage to break through? Not quite. Mei has made it to the point. Throws out the ult. Wall barely missing. Is thrown a little too far back.
Oh, and the
forces
Doom is
everybody to a
almost
corner.
ready.
Tequila and the Moira going to be contesting here in overtime. Moira's increased survivability, but it's not enough. Warwick break through. They're going to capture this point, and that's Sorvasa going to the Warwick Angels.
What an entrance, and what a way to get back to the point just in time and go, we are here, get ready, we've got ults ready, and we're ready to get back in. We are super fast, and we are super dominant.
That was just a 3-0 from the side of Warwick. On Sorvasa, where on these flashpoint maps in general, where capturing a point takes relatively quickly compared to, especially to a control point or something. It's very difficult to not get at least one, but Warwick there with a incredibly strong performance, denying any point from the Houston Outlaws, and they run away with that map 3-0.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot shorter than King's Row was. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
It seemed a bit more dominant from the side of Warwick, but obviously it was their map to win. Flashpoint is a lot more dominant in these snowball momentum-based fast teams that can get back in, use these very spatial ults, create the zoning area that they want, and just create a bit of a mosh pit. And that's where they shine. But hopefully we're going to see some of these mosh pits right here in the replays.
I think it's going to be a lot of replays from the side of Warwick, ending up pretty dominantly winning a lot of those points there. A few shining hopes from the Houston Outlaws, but overall being definitely a very Warwick fifth map. We'll be seeing those plays here. Made a stone. Just, again, not having the hugest of impacts in this map, which is uncharacteristic from what we've seen. Swapping over to the Sojourn for the second time in the series, so maybe showing a little bit of either, depending how you view it, either adaptation from the side of Houston Outlaws or fear, and swapping off of what they're comfortable and just thinking, giving Warwick the respect they need.
Yeah, it's just wow, what a map. It looked like Houston were going to turn it around here, and then the Doomfist managed to jump in this last fight, build the ult with a maze zoning, and then just survive, get that first kill. Your ult's ready. Okay, now it's 5-4. You've got the point back, you've got the Doomfist ult. Are you killable? No. That is it. You've got so many abilities that can keep you alive and keep fighting the good fight. It just ended up being a little bit of a roll there at the end. It just seems like once that first kill was intact, it was a little bit over for Houston.
That was map 3 going to the Warwick Angels, meaning that we are going to at least map 5. Every game mode we will be seeing. Hopefully we'll be seeing more than map 5. Hopefully a map 6 and a map 7, but I think we have a substitute on the side of one of the teams. Not quite sure who, but I think that is Frol, the support player for the Warwick Angels, swapping in for Yeti. Yeti was the one making the big impact plays on the Kiriko on the map for one, so definitely not getting benched for underperforming.
Yeah.
Maybe that means getting benched for a certain play. We'll be
Yeah.
seeing a certain strategy coming out of Warwick that we've not seen before. Maybe on this next map, or this next... Oh, I think we're seeing push.
Yeah.
So maybe they have a certain strategy in mind that Frolgis just plays a better character for. But that shows that Warwick, you know what, despite being up in the series, still respect Houston. Still respect the Houston Outlaws, and they're still gonna bring that A game and hope to play the strategy that they've, I imagine, practiced.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a strong performance all over. We saw it there. They really gelled together professionally, you could say. And it's really exciting to see what they're going to pull out on this next map, especially with a substitution. But before we can discuss that, we need to see the next maps.
That would be the Houston Outlaws map pick, as they lost the map, and they have chosen to go to Colosseo. What do I think of that? I think this is pretty good for both sides, actually. Again, not a huge amount of points, not a huge amount of maps in this game are like insanely one-sided towards a comp or something. Especially in 5v5, it's a lot more difficult for a map to be quite as defining like that. But Colosseo, I imagine the Houston Outlaws just have to be comfortable on it. Junker Queen comps are very obviously excellent on this type of stuff. There's a lot of walls, a lot of corners to be playing around, and the point and the bot have to be contested eventually. So at some point, you need to drop down and you need to find an answer to the axe that you're going to be facing.
Yeah, I mean, they need to think of something, because it feels like they're good, they're great. They don't give up, they don't give the space, they keep their dominance really, but it just seems like they don't have an answer when it doesn't work, which is the one thing that needs to change, because Warwick, they feel like they're able to keep the momentum just a slight bit better, and if you're very even teams, the team that can carry the most momentum is most likely going to win it, because when they're dominant, they're just gonna be that bit more dominant than you are.
We've seen a few adaptation attempts from the team of UCL here. We've seen Made of Stone swapping off of the Genji, which is not something we've seen in the past, sort of appearing on Sojourn a few times. We've seen Saki play the Sojourn, play the Mei, the Echo. We saw Farah for a moment. We've seen a few adaptation attempts here, but every time they've adapted, they've not won the map. The one map that they have so far, they just picked one comp and just played it the entire way through. So maybe showing a bit of a lack of versatility, not being able to swap off what they're comfortable on, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what the problem is. I'm not sure if it's the DPSs though. I feel like it maybe could be a bit of a tank hot swap there at certain times, because we've seen different tanks played. We definitely have, and it seems to be a little bit closer, just like how we saw it near the end of Lijiang Tower when the Doomfist was picked. They got a little bit hungry, but it worked. Now let's go into game. And we're going to be seeing the beautiful, beautiful map of Colosseo. Just perfectly built and created. But we're not here to see the map.
Warwick.
We're here to see the players.
Warwick, please tell me this is your real comp.
And
I want to see it. I want to see some diversity in my playthroughs. And no, ooh. We're seeing maybe potentially why Thrall got brought in this map though.
Yeah.
Zenyatta.
definitely, definitely. Everyone loves the Zenyatta. They're just such a highlight feed. You can do so much as Zen, and then you have to like clock it back into your head and go, oh, I'm a healer, I forgot, I just got 3 kills.
I love Zen. I see I have some housemates, I have a lot of people who just play Zenyatta. I feel half of my scene I come from Durham, they're all just Zen mains. I don't know what they put in that character, but everybody gets attracted to that character. But because the Zenyatta is in play here, 2-0 is going to have to be on high alert. 2-0 has already been caught out in a few moments. Actually, never mind. Thrall is going to be the one on alert. 2-0 sprinting in and the support of the DPS in return, forcing the Genji, the Zen to fall there. But Genji does also fall in the process.
I like Houston's plan at rushing from behind. We saw it before in other series on this map, I'm pretty sure. But the problem with it is you do give up a lot of space and give a little bit of percentage to the opposing team straight away. And Andreas in a perfect position.
Yeah. 2-0, just dodging and weaving, the sleep dart dodging, so realizing that the Andreas just a free kill at that point, no really real escape options, and With all the supports and the rest of the team gone, Warwick Angels are gonna fall in return. Thrall, not quite making the impact we've been seeing so far, but the map has just begun. For Zenyatta, obviously the Orb of Discord on 2-0 going to be very important on this point. Well, in this game in general, as 2-0's already been caught off position a few times and been punished with a Doomfist punch or a Maywall. Now imagine a Discord Orb is also in the equation. Anti-Nade as well is in the equation as well now. Keydog playing the Ana here, so 2-0's going to have to be playing on very high alert.
The window comes out, forces Andreas to back up. Saki cut out of position, but does manage to escape.
Healer mainly using this window to get the amplified healing, it seems. Dropped on the corner, so not really going to be able to shoot anybody, but the DPS on the side of Warwick are just unstoppable. We just see an opening and they take it. Give them an inch, they take a mile.
I mean, absolutely. And the ultimate advantage that's coming up here for Warwick is pretty incredible. The Transcendence, you've got the Blizzard, you've got the Sojourn ult coming, you've got the Doomfist ult, and Houston, they do have ults on their way, right? But as of right now, all they've got is Railgun.
Now what I want to see though is 2-0 get the Junker Queen ult and preserve it for Zenyatta's ult. Obviously Zenyatta's ult is not other health like Lucio's, it's just raw healing. And if a Junker Queen can block your healing with the ult, suddenly Zen's ult is just not doing as much as it was before. Speaking of Zen ult, probably going to get popped there, but not before Keydog falls and Maidstone gets one.
Oh!
So close to making it out, but falls in the process. And Houston Outlaws are just forced to back off there. Andreas chasing up. This Doomfist is so aggressive, jumps out though, realizing maybe by pushing a little too far, not before Thrall gets one though.
Yeah, and Zen there just managing to take out the Sojourn. I mean, are they really going to be mad that they got forced to use Trans for a Blade when they're winning? No, not really.
Yeah, especially now, they weren't saving it for 2-0's ult, because like I said, it's not going to break through. Sojourn's ult also probably managing with a headshot to just break through the healing, so it's just the Blade vault is going to be saved for.
Oh, and they managed to push it so far for what they had.
Scrappy fight happening there. A few stragglers on the side of Warwick it seems, but Houston come out on top.
Yeah, Houston here do have a pretty decent ultimate advantage here. Maybe Ana could get a big nade and build the nano pretty quickly and pair that with a railgun. That could do a lot of damage.
We can see a sneaky Mei on the high ground, waiting for a Genji to overextend.
But it's looking a little bit in favor of Houston here unless Warwick can get an early pick.
They are on the high ground versus Zenyatta with his volley and just a relentless assault of damage, throwing it down the sidelines. Doomfist a bit out of position here, but not really getting looked at by anybody on the side of Houston. Maidstone jumps in, but the Mei beam instantly on him and eventually gets to him, bringing down the Mei. Matt Murray on the Sojourn on the high ground, shooting down, and just at the firing range as Andreas cleans up the rest.
Now they're going to be pushing this robot while they're chasing down these kills. Just a crazy stagger, and if Houston aren't careful here, Warwick are going to be able to get this this first checkpoint, as they are coming up on some pretty big ults. Whereas Houston, you know, they've got the Junker Queen, but that's about it.
Yeah,
so
Cynicism approaching the male here.
Oh no.
Actually, a few ults on the side, a sneaky cap trying to be attempted by the Doomfist there. 2-0 noticing in time to bring the bot a bit back. Mail is committed on the point, and so is Doomfist. Where will the Doom land? He opts to use it defensively, just retreat back to his team, but straight back into the fight, identifying Made of Stone as a weakness and punching right through that deflect.
I mean, they've just picked targets there so well. To be able to slow themselves down a bit, separate the team, create a bit of mayhem on the point, and then force the Junker Queen into a bad position, slam back down and help the Mei finish her off, and then just collapse on the rest of the team and dominate. It's just such a good performance, and it's showing why they are winning in percentage.
We can see that the Houston Outlaws here adapting in terms of backline. Lucio maybe for the increased survivability and for the speed, but Tequila.
Oh no, the big anti.
Huge anti from Keydog on the side of Warwick, getting two. Maidstone pops ult, gets one, gets
Maidstone!
two. Povey as well, but it's not going to be enough. Falls in return of the Mei. Lucio has increased survivability. Maybe could have chipped down the Doomfist. No, makes it back to the health pack, and it's just Lucio against the world. Gonna have to... They do push everybody off the payloads. Warwick identifying that the respawns are in favor of Houston Outlaws and opting to back off.
I mean, and I feel like a broken record saying this, but Warwick Angels again ahead on ultimate economy.
Tequila here swapped to the Ana in the last fight or two. I imagine it's one for sleep darts for the Doomfist and two for that anti-nade for one for Zeno and also the Doomfist. It's a lot more difficult to keep a Doomfist alive if he's antied, but Nano definitely is going to do the trick, keep him alive. Tequila under pressure, makes it just round the corner, but it's not going to be enough to save you from that. 2-0 also being nanoed, but not getting anybody in the process, and Warwick there just getting more value out of their ultimates and going to win that fight.
Yeah.
Just chasing down this Lucio
Lucio has to
sneaky
be
little
careful
guy,
there.
but makes it out alive.
And they are going to be getting that checkpoint once again, just to ensure that they are getting the good spawns. And now, with not many ults coming, they are probably going to look for a slow fight here, or a very, very quick, sneaky pick. Oh no. Oh, watch out,
Made of
Keydog.
stone.
There's Made of Stone right there.
Made of stone opting to go for the Zen instead, but actually getting trapped in here with Saki, manages to get the Ana, but only the Ana as the Doomfist did make it out alive. And forgetting the Doomfist was behind him. Jumps on, gets the May, and this, despite Houston Outlaws being the one to commit ultimates there, Warwick come out on top. Oh, Tequila.
What a
not
big
making it
stagger.
out.
Andreas has done such a good job at staying alive and making sure they aren't feeding. They might not be going for kills all the time and getting too hungry, but they're not dying, and that's kind of what you need as a tank.
But 2-0 getting a valuable knife at actually Thrall pushing the Genji off, getting caught in the corner due to the Mei wall. Very good Mei wall from Saki there, separating the team perfectly, and 2-0 and the rest of the team managing to push off. But we have a minute 30 to try get the lead here, and that involves getting a checkpoint and then pushing it many more meters afterwards.
I mean, Warwick Angels, I mean, just look at their ult charge. Both teams quite high on it, but the way that Zen saved their ult and said, hey, listen, we've got the advantage. All we have to do is win a couple more fights and hang on, really. So we've not got to worry too much and waste that Zen ult for a risky push.
With a minute remaining, yeah, Houston are going to be the ones having to push the advantage. Nano Blade and Lucio is committed on the side of Houston, so the Nano Blade is going to be enough to break through Zenyatta's ult there, Transcendence, not out healing that. And Houston do come out on top, but they committed 3 ults during that fight.
And I think
actually Warwick committed 2.
The most impactful thing was just the kill on Ana at the end there. Warwick are going to be able to go back into a 5v4, and they've got the ultimate advantage. They're probably going to be able to stop them from getting checkpoint here because of that pick.
Yeah, and we've got 30 seconds remaining, so Houston actually can't be... They want to win this fight, but they don't want to commit resources to it because they've got to win a few more fights afterwards, so not looking good for them, especially after a win like that from the Warwick Angels.
Oh, Warwick.
They actually opt to... No, they do opt to push the... Actually, no, they're not pushing the payload. Strategically keeping the payload further back, actually realizing that, you know, Houston do have enough time to push the touch the payload here if they want.
I mean...
And yeah, it's gonna be the Genji jumping over the wall here. Less than a second remaining. Overtime is triggered, but Warwick Angels having the advantage in terms of ult here, I think.
Yeah.
Actually, a tankle on both sides. So going to have to see who gets more value out of it. The knife getting the Mei in, but the ice block comes out before she falls. Although she does mean she has no survivability left on her.
I mean, Houston have to be so careful not to go into the open here, especially with a Zen and a Sojourn against you.
Yeah, Doom jumps into backline, pops ult, and gets Tequila in the process. That's the survivability of the Houston Outlaws dramatically hurt.
2-0 gets taken down with ult.
Also falls. It's just not going to be enough. Made of Stone is not going to be breaking through. Keydog pick is valuable, but not valuable enough. And the Warwick Angels go 3-1 up against the Houston Outlaws on that push map there.
Goodness. 3-1 to Warwick. Just such a strong performance in that map as well. It seems like these open area maps where stuff can happen quite quickly and not be slowed down, it seems like Warwick are really taking a big advantage and playing their game here.
There's an Nano Blade. It's a flashy play, but it wasn't enough to win the map. And yeah, the Warwick Angels, that's a very valuable very valuable map win, as they are now just one away from winning the entire series. If that went in favor of Houston Outlaws, it'd be 2-2. One of them still has to get 2 more wins to win, and it's a lot more set. But now, Warwick are in such an advantageous position to run away with this series.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to say it. Warwick have just played better that game.
Yeah.
They have played their space better. They've saved their rules for when they need them specifically, even though they might not have worked out the best way that they could have done. They've saved them efficiently and been doing what they should be doing, because it seems like maybe Houston played it a little bit more like, we've got to get the kills, we've got to win the game, whereas Warwick, they just seem like, okay, we're just going to push this. Like, we might lose this, but we're just going to get a cheeky bit of push in, so when you do kill us, you're going to be set back a bit. But let's take a quick look back at the replays.
We'll be seeing why Warwick won that map. We'll be seeing why we're in such an advantageous position to run away with the series just on the next map pick. Houston, sadly, not managing to close that one out. 2-0, obviously, we know, best Junker Queen, Asia, we've heard it, we've seen it, but not being enough here in this map, and the Doomfist making such an impactful difference on the side of Warwick. But I think it's not just that. The Mei has been providing so much value for Warwick. Thrall there, the Zenyatta specifically for this map pick, making it a much more difficult time for Warwick as well, especially with a Doomfist. You just jump onto a discarded target, there's not a lot you can do about that.
Yeah, it seems like Warwick have really found the perfect team comp to just absolutely destroy Houston here, because the Genji has to be so careful with the dives going in, the Lucio has to be careful wall riding, and wherever he's going he has to be very, very careful. Junker Queen is just absolutely lost against this team comp. The Sojourn on the high ground beaming, the Mei walling her off, Doomfist punching, the nades and the discords, it's just all so oppressive for Junker Queen. It's can she deal with it? And it's looking like maybe she can't. Maybe there needs to be a switch, or maybe they need to force these oppressive characters off them so that Junker Queen can be free to roam and do whatever Junker Queen does.
But we'll be going to a break now before we go to hopefully not our last map, but the series are currently 3-1 to the Warwick Angels, and we'll be seeing you after the break.
I think I like you. I think I like you. Got nothing to lose. 'Cause I think I like you. Tell me if you like me too. You must think that I'm a restless case because I ran away, because I ran away. If you listen to the words I say, you know that I'm okay, you know it's just a phase. Don't think I'm leaving 'cause I'm not at all, and if you get hurt it's unintentional. I just wanted you to realize that I'm the one you like, that I'm the one you like. So where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go? I don't know. Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? show you what you got. So where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go from here?
Everyone, if you hate snakes, then this snake will end it here for the double kill points of Kyrie on the right side of this fight. Cancels passes forward and cheating.
What's Overwatch 2 Winter 2023 Grand Finals? You join us here as the Warwick Angels. Are currently 3 maps to 1 against the Houston Outlaws, and it's been such an entertaining series so far, Finn.
Yeah, I mean, the first 2 maps were a lot closer, and they did take us to beyond our expectations. Absolutely, just dominating in their own rights in every single aspect imaginable. But it feels like Warwick have done a bit of a better job at securing these games, and they've kind of adapted better to the team comp that Houston are running consistently, and they're going, oh, okay, you're really good at Junker Queen. We get it, you're the best in Asia. So let's counter Junker Queen. And then it seems like maybe 2-0 isn't the greatest at adapting to these pressures and playing other characters. Maybe they're only 3rd best in Asia at some of the other characters, so that could be key to what's happening.
Whereas we've been talking a lot about wanting to see the Houston Outlaws adapt. We've seen Warwick do it perfectly fine. Using their team, they haven't had to swap off characters. They've just changed how they play a bit. They've been capitalizing a bit more off of the displacing. We saw the Zenyada come out there for that last point, just to even punish the habits of the Houston Outlaws even further by punishing the any overextending from the Junker Queen, and just take the 1v1s with the DPS and come out on top.
It's just like, all I can really say is wow. Like, both of these teams have just been absolutely great. Even though Houston have been struggling a lot more in these last 2 games, they have still been putting on such an entertaining match and such a good fight. It's sad to see that the scoreline is 3-1, because it doesn't feel that that's what's been happening. Like, the only difference that I would say is that Warwick are just slightly adapting their team comps a little bit more, and they have a little bit more flexibility in the way they play.
Wait, 3-1? It's not the series hasn't ended yet. Houston Outlaws are still in this and can definitely still bring this to a map 6 or 7. However, it seems that Warwick, considering the last time they played, Houston came out on top 3-2. Warwick have gone away, done their homework. Houston have been on stream a lot, maybe watching the VODs they played against other teams, watching the VODs they played against themselves, gone back to their coaches, and they've seemed to create a master plan to beat the Houston Outlaws, and so far it's coming out as a success.
Yeah, it's been an Overwatch match, and it's been a great one at that, obviously. But Warwick, I've just got to highlight some players. It's when you're seeing the tank Andreas just go in time and time again and do these insanely risky plays that should be punished and should be dealt with, but Andreas just managing to inch away at the right perfect time, and the supports are supporting at the perfect time, and it's all meshing together so well that it's like Andreas has a permanent presence in front of 5 people as one, no matter what the situation. It's, oh, there's 5 versus 1 Andreas. Andreas stayed on the point, survived. How? We don't really know, but they did it.
Yeah, Andreas doing so much as well. It's not just, it's obviously an incredible amount of individual skill, but it's a lot of support from the backline. The team has played so much and scrimmed so much together. I imagine that the supports just know when Andreas is going to jump back, know when he needs to help. The Mei walls coming out from the Mei as well, going to be able to support, and just the constant pressure from the other DPS makes scaring off the opposition a bit. But we'll be seeing what map we're going to here. Again, it's another pick from the Houston Outlaws, so UCL has picked this one, and we are going to Route 66. This is the first time we've seen a full payload map be played in these last few weeks in these playoffs.
Yeah.
And so we don't really have a lot to go off of here, but why do you think Route 66 has been picked?
Based off the knowledge that we've seen, based off the knowledge that we've seen no payload maps in these streams so far, I would say they think it's a pretty cool map, because it is, but obviously forget the jokes, it is such a good map for, the problem is it's such a good map for both of the team comps, and that's the bit that stings. Both of these team comps that they play are kind of reversible in that all of the maps that their team comp works on, the other team comp works on as well, just in a completely different playstyle, and it's who can kind of force the tempo of the match and play their style the way they want dictates it. And maybe Route 66 is a map that they're comfortable on and pretty good at forcing the tempo, so
I'm excited to see what we see from both teams, because during these playoffs we haven't been seeing payload at all, so we haven't seen Route 66. During the practice and run-up for this, for the past week, they've been able to, I guess, know what's going to be played, and they know that payload is a possibility that they'll come to. But it's a bit on the... It's on the end of the series, so maybe if we've put a little less attention into it, hoping to win at the beginning and not need to go this far into the series. So I'm just looking forward to see how well practiced both teams are on this map, because they have good reasons. They have good reason to practice it, because they knew for a week that this is a possibility. But also, since it's not been an option for the past month or so, maybe they've put it a bit on the side and they've not given it the effort it respects.
yeah, it's definitely a map that wouldn't show up very often, so it's understandable if they've not practiced it too much. But then again, it's like, you know, the threat's there. The map can always show up. So if you're not ready for it, at the end of the day, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You need to be scrimming these maps that you might be forced onto. So I'm hoping that these teams have left no stone unturned and really just put on a very good performance and know the map. And you know, maybe I'm rooting for Houston here, but I want to see this dragged out and a little bit closer in this next map.
Hey, we're in the grand finals. I want to see as many games as we can. A map 7, hey, a few draws, we go to a map 8. It's possible, but sadly, we'll have to a few more games will have to be played until we approach that point. It's going to be very difficult to get a draw on an escort map. So we might have to we might just have to hope for 7 and not get too ambitious with it.
We're seeing the floating truck of Azkaban here.
The home place of Cole Cassidy here, Ash as well, stomping grounds. I don't think we're going to be seeing either character during this series. Echo maybe, you know,
yeah,
made an appearance, and on the Houston Outlaws has made a few appearances.
Definitely a cameo on this map.
But look how far forward the Houston Outlaws are playing, fighting in this train here at the beginning, going to... Oh no! Surely not off the point. That's Wood. Tequila goes flying off the point. The others manage to make their way back, but...
Andreas!
The punch is just so valuable.
Just absolutely crumbled Houston. What were they doing there? Such a risky position to start your match on, which, fair dues to them. You win or lose a fight there, you're not losing much because you probably get back to the same point as where you'd be holding the first choke anyway. But still, on top, that is such a risky place.
Playing so far forward, we've seen it before, but it's usually in the train where we're not at risk of dying to a Doomfist, but you'll take damage, you'll hit the wall, but you're not going to go flying off the point like that. And thankfully they held so far forward that they're going to have a second fight here. Lovely boot from Hovey there to displace the Doomfist, and it actually ends up in a kill. Wow. 2-0 now has relative free reign to hold forward, no Doomfist punch to slow him down, but gonna just instead opt for positioning and try to take the high ground instead.
I just want to divert your attention to something. Because of that early kill for Doomfist, the Doomfist is on 73% ult charge already.
When you boop somebody off the map, the entire damage is yours. That's not, the entire HP is to you, and no healer can profit off of that. It's just your kill. But Andreas identifying just a made of stone standing alone on the top of the petrol station and just falls. Saki, however, doesn't care. You know what? We're gonna hold forwards. 2-0 are still alive. Not anymore. And neither is Saki or Tequila. And despite a hero attempt from Saki, the Warwick Angels push forwards.
Yeah, you've got the blade almost ready. The Doomfist ult is almost ready, and there's nothing on the side of Houston that they'll probably get quick enough to recontest with. They might be able to get a touch and build it, but it's a lot less likely than the blade that's going to pop out straight away.
Blade on online. Made of Stone gets Genji diffed. Oh, you don't like to see that here.
Oh.
And the entire fight is going in terms of Warwick Angels. 2-0's alive, Saki's alive, but neither are going to have enough HP to turn this fight.
And they're just cleaning up here on the point. It's a bit, you know.
Show some signs of life, please. We're in the grand finals here of the University Esports playoffs. We want to see a real close match here, and Houston Outlaws just have to step up to make that happen.
It's not looking like this next fight will be any closer. Warwick have all 5 ults at the ready, and this is such a dangerous spot to be when you know the Doomfist ult's online.
Punch is powered up, gonna... Oh my god, Tequila
What a timing.
not able to capitalize off the window. Doomfist ult, the threat of it for so long as well, forcing him to back off, and the powered up punch from Andreas making a huge difference in that fight.
That's wall wasted straight away. Made of Stone is trying to build that blade, but having not a great time with it.
Yeah, Cynicism beat him to it long ago. And what a reflect from Made of Stone! Getting the Sojourner, and maybe Vasta what they needed to get back into this fight. Andreas on low HP, Lucio is committed as well, so Houston can take this fight for a little longer. Cynicism pops the blade.
A lot of ults are coming out
doesn't find
here.
anyone, it seems. Mail as well, doesn't find anybody. A lot of scrappy ults being thrown around. May again, but Soldier not having a fun time with the side of Warwick. Dies immediately after returning. Briggle is popped. That survivability, that stun online. And the stun makes the difference. Saki doesn't make it into the ice block in time. And that was all Warwick needed.
Warwick again just cleaning up, and it's looking a little bit rough here for Houston. All they've got is blade. Can they even recontest this point? I don't think so. Andreas is now there, ready to block any contest that's even attempted. No, and now they're going straight to the 3rd point. And Warwick, again, they're just abusing this snowball and momentum to create such a big push. Doomfist here with the... Oh, again, the Doomfist is being so oppressive.
Yeah, despite being a DPS down for basically the entire fight, Warwick did not care. But Doomfist all flying out of nowhere, getting a punch off, getting big damage, forcing a lot of cooldowns out. Not quite securing a kill, but that's a lot of resources gone from the side of Houston for now. Doomfist taking the cover, but the distraction Doomfist is causing giving so much space for the Soldier. And Made of Stone jumps in, gets one, gets two. Just looking for a 3rd. Doesn't quite find it with the blade, but maybe the follow up, yes, and gets out alive.
Oh, no, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. Doomfist with a slam to secure the kill, and Lucio as well. Slippery guy, we've seen him make it out of these alive, but not that time.
Not this time, no. And the blade is almost ready. The Doomfist is making its way there already again. I mean, we're going to be seeing the railgun soon, and if the Kiriko's pumping in those heals, they're going to have a rush as well. On the side of Houston, they have got a beat ready soon. They've got a Blizzard, they've got a rush as well themselves. So it's going to be a very clashy fight soon. If it's dragged out.
I swear Andreas has had their ult the entire time. I swear there's not been a moment when Doomfist ult has not been online. Cynicism pops the Genji ult, doesn't find anybody. Tequila drops rush, but a little far back, so it's going to be difficult to capitalize off of with pushing forwards.
Yeah, that is both support ults used from Houston. No!
Andreas popping the Doomfist ult and identifying that Tequila's going to be sneaky. Go to the high ground where there's only one place you can stand.
2-0. No! There was such a big Junker Queen ult ready there to pop. but they are going to have it to recontest with a Blizzard now, but that Briggle is there, so you do have to be careful for the stun. The Railgun's going to be ready. They need to contest this now.
Yeah, this Sojourn's going to just place herself on the high ground, and how do you displace her? Made of Stone is on half HP, not enough to try and take a 1v1 with it, especially with a Railgun online. Briggle is popped to give the survivability that Warwick are looking for. Mail buys a few seconds for Houston, but you can see a lot of them are low. Huge anti-nade. No, it was 2-0's ult. Gets one. Gets an anti on the Doomfist and gets half the HP gone, but doesn't secure the kill. Maywall gonna slow him down. Does he make it out? No, not quite. And expertly saved by the Houston Outlaws.
I mean, just such an influential team fight there. I mean, that's just made the whole difference. If you let Warwick take that point with 2 minutes there, that's going to really, really affect the mental of this team, especially since they need to win this map.
Houston Outlaws about to get Belid and Briggle, so definitely a winnable fight for him here.
Yeah, potentially a Nano as well. I mean, do Warwick have much to reply with?
There it is. There's the Blade. Made of Stone, gets one. Trying to fight a second, but Kiriko teleports out, dashes out of a Doomfist ult there. Again, a Doomfist ult, where did that come from? When did he build? When did that ult get built?
That is 2 ults wasted for not much on the side of Houston, which is, it's getting a bit scary here, especially you're going to have Warwick going full force against you here with a Blade and a Rush. So you do have to be careful. Warwick, sorry.
And high ground on the right side being contested. Andreas popping up, but
no!
The Doomfist took so much attention that the backline was left by themselves, and Cynicism sees the opening and pops the Blade.
Oh, and the Doomfist punching the Junker Queen into the wall. They need to get rid of this Genji quickly here, and they might just be able to get it before they can recontest. The Lucio is there.
But no ults, no nothing. Lucio isn't enough. Hovey tries to pop out with a Suzu, but doesn't come out in time. Overtime is triggered, so if Warwick win this, he's capping overtime, which is more than enough. Houston, they stall out at a bit there, bring it to overtime, but in the end, they still lost that 3rd point.
Yeah, it's, you know, Route 66, it is a hard map to finish and get all 3 points, especially with a decent time bank, just because of the way the map works. It's a little bit annoying to get that 3rd point, but, you know, you're going to be happy with 3 points in general, but Houston, they're also they're gonna be a bit jovial there because, you know, it was looking a little bit ropes. If they lost that with 2 minutes, how's that going to affect their team? They're going to go, oh, all doom and gloom, but that little rally together at the end and held on for a little bit longer, it might just be enough to carry them the way through this match.
It was looking bleak for him. If they would have lost there, it would have been a struggle to fight back. But you know what? Overtime, capping in overtime means that there's a lot of space where you can cap with a bigger time bank. You can't go lower than 0, and if you do, sadly, you lose the map. So that's not going to happen.
See, it does look scary for Houston here, but we do have to remember this was the map type. Well, not exactly, but there was a payload involved in where they did one of the greatest comebacks I've seen. They fought through, they took it in overtime, so the team comp can do it. The team comp can work for this situation, but no, it seems like they're going to be swapping it.
Tequila coming out with the Ana, coming out earlier, on 1 point earlier, I think, and Saki also rolling out with Echo here, so a pretty decent a change from Houston, and we'll see the answer they need. And also, wait a all, 2-1 for Doomfist.
Yeah.
Big change here to, I imagine, contest a high ground. Junker Queen gonna struggle, and this was Houston Outlaws map pick, so it seems they have to be confident in the 2-0 Doomfist to work here.
Yeah, I mean, in the interview, he definitely said that he is ready to pull out the Doomfist if needed. So it's interesting to see it finally pick.
It seems it's needed. Time has called for this Doomfist to come out, and so far it's just been keeping the entirety of Warwick on this high ground, not giving him a lot of breathing room. Oh, Made of Stone though, overextending a little bit, and you can't reflect a punch. It's just not something that's in this game, sadly.
Ooh, Saki taking a fight here when it looks a little bit lost for the team. Could be a bit of a stagger. Now Andres is looking for that cleanup. They want to finish off the supports, but you know, they respect them. They're gonna let them go. And
Made of Stone still here, still in the fight, makes it back, but Houston gonna have to regroup here and try again.
Yeah.
Will they do it successfully though?
I mean, the Briggle and the Kiri are almost online for Warwick. That's going to be big for holding on here.
Warwick are in a very good position, especially with especially when the healing for the Echo is reliant on the Brig and the Anna, and the counter bash with from the Brig actually leads in the end of Andreas. And Brig makes it out alive. Somehow it was Tequila who fell in the process. This May gonna have an uphill battle to make it out. Gets booped off from the Brig whip shot there, and actually maybe that's what Houston needed. Briggle is committed on the side of Warwick, but not a lot of value gonna be coming out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it kept the Brig and the Sojourn alive, so that is good for the next fight. They have a few people ready to jump in straight away. They do have the ults ready, but it's going to be a little bit scrappy here. They do need to force 1 or 2 players onto the objective when it's not prime time for them.
Saki flies above everybody, trying to get on the Kiriko, and 2-0 actually on the Doomfist, getting 2.
Made of Stone.
And Made of Stone getting 2 of his own. Jumps onto the high ground, just jumping away from his Doom, and there's been so many situations where we've seen the Doom as alone at the end. It's just the nature of the character, and it's never been enough.
I mean,
Oh, 2-0.
Houston did a really good job at splitting the team there. They knew that it was going to be scrappy, that Warwick were going to have to send 1 or 2 players in on their own to touch, and they really, really...
Look how far 2-0's going.
Yeah, they definitely have been making good use of the timings that they know and the situations that they can force out of Warwick.
Cynicism off the May as well onto the Tracer here. Maybe identifying that Tequila as a weak point in the back line where not a lot of resources that can be committed to him. But Saki gonna be holding onto his break. Kiriko's also in the fray now, so maybe gonna be able to get 2 supports when 1 gets the Echo copy onto the Doomfist. This used to be a DPS character, so maybe Saki knows a thing or 2 about him.
Yeah, it's a really big copy there to be able to stay alive in a bit of a 50-50 team fight, but
not getting huge amounts of kills though. Warwick back off, true, but if he didn't die, they can just come right back.
I mean, it just seems like Houston are payload specialists.
Cynicism still in the back line, manages to find a health bank. Sojourn on the high ground as well. Actually, a lot going on in the little room there. Doomfist 2-0, managing to find a Sojourn, but the rest of his team doesn't have the support. Will Warwick be able to capitalize off of that? Doomfist is so low, so is the Tracer, the Brig too. The fight happening, 8 dolls, Nano Genji, but no blade to be seen. Just to be just used to keep him alive, but it's not enough. Tequila.
Andreas!
The hero, the Doomfist that everybody needs. Cynicism of recalling to get back onto the high ground. Tequila falls to just Sojourn, and
No way.
Warwick, despite being so low and losing so many people, just Andreas buys enough time and the DPS create enough space to just win that fight.
Wow. So clutch from Andreas there. Again, managing to find the 2 picks and stalling the objective once again, just like King's Row, until the team can get back and clean up. That's done wonders for their time bank hold.
That was less than 5 meters remaining, so that was incredibly close to capping, and Warwick just the individual players this team have are just incredible. Onto the high ground, so Doomfist looking at each other. Who's gonna punch first? Doomfist from the top ropes, not quite connecting onto anyone. The 2 supports on Houston, keeping close to each other, knowing that they can bail each other out of jail.
Oh, Andreas.
And we're on the point. Vaderstone ulted, got 1. On the point still, but sadly doesn't have dash online. Didn't get the resound of that Tracer. Doesn't need it. Gets the Doomfist, but the Sojourn still exists, and I think a support as well, so maybe this fight could be scrappy than expected. Kiriko doing so much healing and so much to keep the team alive here that I thought a fight I thought Houston would win long ago is still going. There we go. They can clutch it up, but not before Saki had to commit ult to that fight.
Yeah, they won it, but at what cost? They lost so much time and so many ultimates there.
What I thought was going to be the cleanest fight known to man just ended up with the individual players of Warwick just keeping each other alive.
Yeah, I mean, wow, from Warwick there to be able to stall that for so long. They're entering this last fight in in a situation where they had already pushed it almost to the end.
So, Sojourn on the high ground. 2-0 is on for Doomfist. You can't be too safe here. The Genji and the Doomfist could suddenly just appear on you, but so could a rail into your head, and the Doomfist gets one with the ult, gets tequila. It's a very valuable kill.
Yeah, that Andrea's pressure here on the objective is going to waste so much time, and I think Houston know that, and they're trying to wipe out the team around them.
Saki's caught out of position. Doomfist identifying, but he's just a bit out of...
Wow.
Yeah. Small, tiny...
Oh, and the pulse bomb.
Just being small, a tiny bit out of position against a Doomfist could just lead to your death. That fist could just push you into so many different places.
I mean, Houston are coming up on some pretty big ults here already. They are going to have the Nano Blade soon, which Warwick don't really have much to deal with. So they are going to have to be mindful of that, but it's just so impactful. The Doomfist has held this objective here almost solely for over a minute. That is so much time considering they started this last point with 2.
And the start of this fight, a player down, 2 players down. 30 players, if they retreat quickly, they will have another fight in, but it's looking bleak for the Houston Outlaws.
I mean, Warwick here with a lot of ults coming up ready for this last fight, and 20 seconds for Houston. They've got the Nano Blade. They do have the rally. This is going to have to be the be-all and end-all. You cannot waste your lives here.
And there we go. That's how the fight should have started. Midstone getting the Tracer pick at the beginning. Dashes in, gets the Nano, gets 1, gets 2. Gets 2, there it is. Tries to find a carry cup, but not before she teleports out. Gatekeeping the door here, trying to catch somebody leaving, and we're in overtime.
Do they know that Doomfist has the ult?
Doomfist goes on to point.
Andreas
is able to contest whilst the rest of his team comes. Brig Rally comes out, so a lot of health on both sides of the team here.
Contest the point, is
2-0.
able to do a lot of damage to 2-0.
2-0
gets taken down.
Gone. Sojourn.
Sojourn's going to take out Saki.
Midstone
And a
gets 1.
C9!
No! And the Warwick Angels, it's such a scrappy fight there at the end. The Houston Outlaws come out on top and sadly just stop touching the point.
I mean, there you have it. Warwick Angels are your champions.
But it's such a sad ending to see a C9 on a stage like this in such an important and critical moment. But it is an objective-based game, and they didn't play the objective. But well done to the Warwick Angels for, despite losing to the Houston Outlaws during the playoffs earlier, clawing their way back through the lower bracket to meet them back in Grands and then beat them 4-1.
I mean, if you want an example of an amazing Cinderella story, there you have it. Wow, absolutely, just such a good job done from Warwick. You just can't get better than that. They were equal teams. Houston started this match looking like they were in control, and Warwick just able to turn the tables and adapt to their team comp and their playing style so quickly.
Forcing Houston to pull out a different comp than usual with Doomfist. They looked pretty good on it, but just they weren't as good as Warwick in the end. And it was such a dominant performance from this series. Houston put up a lot of good moments, obviously pulling out a map of her own. But in the end, Warwick just always had the upper hand.
Yeah, we saw them have such a dominant performance in their last map, but let's go over some of the highlights and some of the reasons that made these guys champions.
We'll be seeing that performance. Warwick, a masterclass of a Doomfist. Hey, that character's about to get buffed as well. That's all. I'd be intimidated. I'm watching out for next term. I've got these guys on my radar already. Wow. Yeah, this was such an aggressive play, but it just ended up biting him back in.
Do you think it was such a close match at the end there? It could have all changed with just 1 kill, right?
Literally.
So what do you think about the aggressive start on defense and getting that death early? It really could have been the be-all and end-all. That's got to get you in a rough state. But, you know, we've got to give it fair dues to Houston. You guys did amazing.
Especially for a team that has only the last few players really appeared. Like, they don't have a huge amount of history. We heard in an interview that they even struggled to assemble a team at all last year. So to come out from nowhere and give Warwick such a run for their money and end up in second place is still an insanely impressive performance from UCL here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just wow. They were so dominant, and you know they were such a good team. It's almost sad to see them lose a 4-1. As Made of Stone said, they were really proud that they were doing so good in like with their specific communities of their team. So I think they really should be proud of their performance.
Just so many replays here, so many individual plays occurred, and so many team. And here at the end, we can just see that Warwick were in the advantage. Houston were forced off the point, and it ended up losing them the map and the series.
Yeah, it was a rough one.
A rough way to end it, but definitely they definitely put up the performance they wanted before that point.
Yeah, but I mean, just super congratulations to both teams.
Honestly,
Both did insanely well, and not one of them deserves to be upset, obviously, because they're going to be super happy because they won.
But that will be interviewing one of the players from Warwick. After this, we'll be interviewing somebody from the winning team, but we'll be going to a break first before that.
You say you love me, say you're thinking of me, but you're just lonely. Tell me I'm special, but to you I'm anybody. 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 Anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. You say you love me, say you're thinking of me, but you're just lonely. Tell me I'm special, but to you I'm anybody.
No, they're not. Super different and only fans rooting on them. This round of
Everyone, if you hate snakes, then this snake will end it here for double kill points for Kyrie on the right side of his fight. Cancels fighting forward and cheating.
And welcome back to the University Esports Overwatch 2 Winter 2023 Grants. We just finished it. Warwick won 4-1 against Houston Outlaws. And we're here joined by Matt Murray, the Sojourn and DPS player from the side of Warwick. Hi there. How do you feel about your win?
Very, very happy. I was a little bit nervous going in after we lost to them 3-2 in that very first round. But we pulled out the losers bracket run, and I think everyone just played on another level today. And I think the coordination just all came together.
Yeah. Well, we can see that you're very smiley. So my first question is, how does it feel?
Oh, it feels amazing. I was so pleased to have won. I think the rest of my team, they're all incredible, and I'm just glad that I was able today to just sort of match them and make sure that we got that win. But we will definitely be celebrating tonight.
Good to hear, good to hear. What do you think you did differently compared to the first time you played them? Obviously, they were the lower seed, they ended up knocking you into the lower round. You clawed your way back, and you put up a masterclass on the Doomfist comp, it seems. So what changed between now and 2-3 weeks ago?
First played them, we weren't expecting it at all. Their new Junker Queen player, who's Duo, he's an incredible player, and we just didn't see it coming, really. We hadn't played them at all throughout the rest of Swiss, and so just coming in, it was a big surprise. I think I have to give huge props to Cager, our coach. I think he helped us so much in understanding how to beat the comp and what we need to do. And yeah, I think that was the best thing for us, just working out sort of we need to position a little bit better, use those high grounds, which I tried to do, and make sure we force out 2-0 as much as possible, because he really was the hard carry of the team.
Yeah, I mean, clearly he was just an absolute dominant player, but you guys seem to have your own thing going, and you mentioned your coach. Now, I want to ask you a little question about your coach. What inspired the cosplay-based VOD?
I think Cager is, he likes to experiment, he likes to entertain us, I would say. And I think when he wears some of those interesting costumes, it kind of counteracts with his harder way of coaching. So it makes us feel better whilst we're getting shouted at a little bit.
It equals down to a good time overall.
Yeah.
The Doomfist did an incredible good job at, I feel, displacing 2-0. You mentioned that the coach identified as 2-0 as a kind of a spot you should be punishing. How would the comms look like in a situation like that? When do you realize that, oh, it is now time to click the buttons to punish the Junker Queen, which is, about to be put out of position or walled off or something like that?
I think something that we talked a lot about is our poke, sort of playing back, waiting a little bit, wait for them to use their abilities, in particular the Junker Queen shout. And I think it's just waiting for J9 as well to get one of those walls that he was really good at getting. And then it's just sort of collapsing on them from there. But he was the main threat we felt, and then once we take him out of the equation, it's pretty much clean up from there. They are all great players, but I think the Junker Queen brings it all together. And without that, it's sort of just a group of players rather than the team.
Was there anybody specifically making the call for that situation, or was it just a team effort to identify it?
The comms today were crazy. I think everyone was sort of shouting and screaming. I hope my flatmates are okay with that. But yeah, they're great. It was just really interesting. It was really new as well to sort of speak so much and be so active. But it wasn't one player. We all just sort of worked together. J9 is the loudest. Doesn't mean he's the rightest, but there we go.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely congratulations. What a victory, and what a dominant performance.
Thank
Is there anybody you want to shout out specifically? You mentioned your coach, some of your teammates, anybody behind the scenes maybe, or somebody specifically on your team today that you want to give a shout out to?
I think the whole team played another level. Andreas is now like top 25 in Europe on Doomfist. He was telling me today he's the #1 Doom player, so you know he is as good as it gets.
Hey, I'll believe it.
Yeah, honestly, he is a different breed. He really is. I think the whole team's played amazingly. I'd like to shout out everyone who was watching for us. We had a little watch party going on at Warwick, so hi everyone. And yeah, hopefully we keep the support going into spring as well, and we can sort of come back and do it all again.
If you keep that momentum, I think the other teams are going to struggle to slow you guys down. But that was great to hear. Any last points?
No, just absolutely congratulations. Keep the momentum into this next split like you kept in the games. It was just absolutely incredible.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Matt, for coming on. It was great to have you on and see just how happy you are for this win. You can really see you can just see how incredibly proud you are of just your performance and that set right there.
So proud of the team, and it's been a long day for me. So to sort of finish it on a high is really, really good.
Thank you for coming on. Great to have you. But I think that means as well that will be wrapping up the entire playoffs here.
Yeah.
That was grand finals, 4-1 for Warwick against UCL. And how do you think the entire playoffs went?
I mean, it was amazing. It was just so entertaining, start to end. The teams just kept it so alive for us to cast and watch over and talk about. There was so much to talk about. It just didn't get boring. It didn't feel like it was grasping at straws. It really was as entertaining as we try and make it out to be every single time. And we've loved doing it. I've loved casting with you, and it's been a really, really great split.
Yeah, Warwick giving us an incredible storyline, losing the grand finals match happening in round 1 of playoffs, and then one of the teams clawing its way all the way through the lower bracket. It's insanely impressive. Lower bracket, you have to play so many games to make it back to grand. So that is just an incredible storyline from Warwick. Congratulations on doing that. That's a lot of matches you have to play to get there. So incredibly well done. They seem to do it in a very dominant fashion as well. And yeah, I just want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you for University Esports for letting this happen. I am here in a studio commentating Overwatch, so I'm living a dream. I don't know about you.
Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't get better than this. This is amazing. Everyone watching is amazing because it's such a great community to be a part of, and especially work with and work on. We are talking to you currently as uni students to other uni students competing. That is such a wild feeling, going from someone who did compete in this position. It's such a momentous achievement. It really just doesn't get better.
So yeah, thank you to Confetti for building we're in and the organization. We're currently in their studio, and we have a whole production team working on their setups as well. Thank you for University Esports for making it happen. Anybody else you want to shout out?
Of course, the Newell for being the figureheads of it, but just everybody, especially that you got to shout out to the producers who don't make it to today. They were amazing. You've got everybody who's worked behind the scenes to take the finals to a different level. I mean, the content has just been so high today, and it's made it so great to be a part of.
Yeah, and I hope over the next few weeks, over the rest of this week, you'll be seeing more of this. Different games. Sadly, it won't be us. It's not Overwatch 2, but it'll be a Woman on Binary Valorant, Standard Valorant. There'll be all of these games behind us and on various graphics. So keep watching for the rest of the week. You'll be seeing lots of high-level gameplay in a variety of games. You'll be seeing a lot of well-produced content as well. And yeah, thank you for joining me, Wicket, and Finn here for the past few weeks.
All right, thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.